channel is all about my family's journey from ball python hobbyist to ball python business. I think that we, on a macro scope, look in the same direction, and on micro things, it's like, I'm in a different situation. And you're like, you don't have to be. You can choose to be. And I'm like, no, I'm happy where I'm at. What's the scale of what you're working on? You told me a number earlier that blew my mind. We'll talk about that in a minute, about what you fed today. Let's be honest. There are way crazier people out there than you and I, and they got big flock. Like, they found their own tribe and they found their own flocks. If I had the presence you guys did, I wouldn't be doing anything else. I'd be done. Sign it, check it, clock out for the last time ever, last paycheck, sayonara for me, man. I could put some context in the video, you know, instead of playing like doom death metal. Oh, watch this.
What's up, guys? I'm your host, John Oakline, and today I have Adam of Proper Royals. Now, this man has been a huge influence on my life, an amazing friend and mentor to me. I think if it weren't for Adam, I might not even be doing this right now. So I want to say a huge thanks to him. But he's backstage, so let's get him on, and then I'll kind of give everybody who has made it out a shout out. What's going on, Adam?
John, how are you, man?
I'm good, man. It is such an honor to have you on my show. Like I was saying, like, I think if it weren't for you doing your show, back when I started following you, actually, I think I've been following you way before you even started your show. So that's awesome. But man, dude, I've been following you for quite some time, actually, probably ever since I got into the ball python hobby, and been watching your journey, and it's been very inspiring. And then, when you started doing your lives, you started having, these amazing guests on that many of them I consider friends as well. So thank you for coming by.
Hey, my pleasure. So first, thanks for the kind words. Like, I still work and grind so hard at my channel and my brand. And for anybody that hasn't met me, we'll talk a lot about that tonight. John will introduce me, I'm sure, or I will introduce, whatever. But I also think, like, those people who are out there, you would have found somebody, but I'm lucky that I feel just as lucky that you latched onto me. And what a lot of people don't realize is, I mean, it's been 7 or 8 months now, but I live in Jacksonville, Florida. You live in Colorado.
Yep.
And John and I had beers, ate dinner, had a really great time on a Colorado afternoon in person when I was in Denver. Yep. And like real connections truly can be made. And I'm so happy to see what you're doing with your show. And frankly, I'm really, really happy to be here tonight, because you know the pressure now. Like, you're the one that's got to prepare the show and have everything ready. Like, I just get to be like, and the people that know me, like, they know I never do this, man. But hey, I'm online tonight, brother. You're the designated driver. I'm here to have a good time.
Yeah, right. I have nothing today, man. I like to focus, and if I can celebrate a little bit after the show, it's always nice. But
right.
Yeah. So this is awesome. So actually, like you said, we met up in Denver, which was a really amazing, awesome time. Good to connect with you. And I think that's the amazing thing about this industry and this hobby, is that you can meet people from all over the country, all over the world, and when opportunity presents itself, you can meet up and have dinner, have a couple beers, and that's exactly what we did. So for anybody wondering, this is us. I had to put it in there.
Oh, I love it. I'm so glad you, man. Hey, I'm sure I have it. Will you send that back to me, though? Yeah, man.
Yeah.
That's
for
good,
sure.
Man. I gotta put that on Instagram, man. That's great.
Yeah, that was a really fun time.
I'm sorry to interrupt. By the way, that hype video, like, that intro video is so good, and I never go back and watch my stuff. I truly don't. Like, it's it's in the past. Sometimes I do, but not often.
Yeah.
It was like a little snapshot of this community, and I forget how happy I am doing these shows sometimes. Like that just really captures the joy of, like, hey, there I am in my sweet spot, and I don't get to watch myself in my sweet spot that way. It's so good, man. Thank you. Thank you is all I'm saying.
Yeah, it's fun, man. It's something I really like to do for my guests. And, at the beginning, I don't think I did that. I just kind of like showed their logo, but I like getting creative with my show. I like the artistic aspect of it. I'm learning the interviewing and the podcasting part of it. But as my show builds and grows, like I want to be able to do more and more things to really kind of showcase and highlight my guests as well as make, my show something fun and unique. And so for me, I put in a couple hours to do that stuff. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer than others. Trying to find like the right clips or trying to put in the right editing that I really want for that effect. But it's fun. It's something I really enjoy. And so I really want my guests to feel welcome and to kind of showcase what they're doing on their side as much as I can. So.
Right. Well, thank you, man. I rarely get to sit on the guest side, so I'm pretty excited, man.
Yeah, man. You deserve it, man. But real quick, I'm gonna go ahead and see who's in the chat, and because I know we got a lot of people coming out today. So, man, I gotta scroll up like 10 pages. I think first up in here we have Kike up here. Thank you so much, bro. Always supporting us. I know he dropped your link, Adam, a little bit down the line. I know you were here saying what's up to everybody. Of course, I got you on the show. Ken, thank you so much for coming by. I really appreciate you. Multiplayer Morphs, you're awesome. Thank you so much for coming out. As always, I know you've been catching my show pretty regularly. So I think everybody here is like just catching my show every week, which is really exciting to kind of have like your group of followers. And I'm sure it's the same with you, Adam, where you're like, you see the same people consistently every week. And it's such a compliment. So everybody, thank you for coming out. More Forge. Thank you so much. Yeah, go ahead.
I'd say the community that gets built is it's flattering. It's almost overwhelming, but then it's so comforting too. Like it's all in one. And it puts the pressure on you because you got to deliver. Like those are true like supporters. Like that's the nucleus of like everything that's going to come for you in the future, man.
Yeah, absolutely. It's I honestly didn't even think I'd make it this far this soon. I've only been doing this, I don't know, 2.5 months or something like that. So it's cool to be able to like have that connection with people,
Right.
And like I said, a lot of these people came off of like your channel or Jeremy's channel, or T Keys or these other podcasters that are really doing us a favor by building a community. They're huge players in it. And, I know there's people probably in this chat that don't even own reptiles or snakes, but yet they're attracted to the good people in our community. So I know there's actually a lot of people out there. Thank you, K Diesel. What is going on? Darlene Kersey, thank you so much. You're awesome. I hope you got your snake. She won a snake in a giveaway, so
cool.
yeah.
I've met Darlene before, so it's nice to meet you, Darlene. Thanks for being here.
Actually, a bunch of people won snakes and keys giveaway, that are in here. So let's see who else we have. Jeremy Bowd. God, thank you so much for coming out, man. Really, really good to see you. We got Jeremy, Kent from Craft Brew, and I know these are some of these amazing people are guests on your show. So
yeah, I talk to them often. Jeremy would never admit it, or he'll get annoyed with me for saying it, but he's been just a killer mentor for me, an amazing friend.
Okay.
I think I talked to him 2 days ago, and just like out of the blue, hey, what do I do when something gets this size? And it 2 minutes, there's the answer. It's not, it's just great. It's just a resource, and there's a lot of guys like that, but Jeremy's been amazing to me.
For sure. Yeah. Like I said, because of your show and everything, I've been familiarized with a lot of different people that I maybe not would have come across. Maybe, I'm not sure. It's interesting. Clint, thank you so much for coming out. I appreciate you so much. Man, such a long list of people. Morbid, thank you so much for coming out. I appreciate you so much. Man, ODGC Exotic. Oh, Ardad's gone crazy. Okay, yeah. Good to see you in here. Thank you so much for stopping by. We have LKB Pythons. Thank you so much. Oh man, All right. I think that catches us up. If I miss anybody, I do apologize. But thank you so much for coming out and being a part of this show every single week. Without you guys, I wouldn't have a show. I mean, maybe I'd still be doing it, you know what I mean? But you guys are the people that motivate me to keep going. It's nice to be able to grow every single week and get to know you guys just a little bit more. So thank you so much. And we have the Snake Bar that just came in. Thank you so much. And Brandon Nixon. Yeah, such amazing. Such amazing people here. But yeah, so moving forward, if I don't pull up your comment, I'm so sorry. I'm going to try to keep up the comments and everything. But let's get to the show, Adam. So if you can you tell us a little bit about yourself? You know, who are you? Where are you from? You know, what's your family like? Things like that.
Yeah, so my name's Adam Shirah. Those of you that haven't met me, I saw somebody I didn't know giving the Duval chant, which is pretty. It's weird, but it's cool. I don't know if they're from Duval or if that's just something other like it. Like I always envisioned Duval just stayed in that's Duval County in Jacksonville. I always envisioned sort of local, but somebody was. I don't know if they're from here or if that's become a nationwide thing or whatever. But anyway, I'm from Jacksonville, Florida, is where I live, and as far as my family life, I have a wife and a son, and I operate my ball python business here. And I have a converted garage that I'm sitting in. It's also my work from home office and where I spend a lot of time these days. Big background, 27 years in the restaurant industry. And April 2020, right? You know, we get shut down, the world gets shut down. And I decided, hey, I had some ball pythons in college. Maybe one of those would be cool to buy because I got time on my hand, and I look on, I Google ball pythons and I see there's this Morph Market thing, and I'm like, what in the hell is Morph Market? And I look, and I'm like, holy cow, man! A lot's changed in the 20 plus years since my college days of owning ball pythons. So April 2020, I buy a banana pastel male, and I think I bought them for $180 or something, which is a pretty good price to get a banana pastel male for, or now as a seller I'd be thrilled to get that price for that animal. But it all started from there, and at that time, it all ties in. I also play music professionally, so my three kind of restaurant music, ball pythons are my things. COVID had shut down the restaurant life and the music life, and I had always resigned myself to the idea that even in a worst case scenario, I would never be totally flat broke because I could always feed somebody and I could always play them music and make some money. Even if I stood on a corner, at the time I was living in North Carolina, even if I stood on a street corner in Asheville, North Carolina, it'd be a tough living, but I could make some money kind of deal.
Yeah.
And I'd always taken solace in that. I had no fear because of that. Like, what did I have to lose? I go play music and grind it out as a short order cook if I had to. And that COVID changed my perspective on that because those things got taken away.
Yeah, for sure.
And I know, like, okay, we're fine now, or we're mostly fine, or it's hell, my wife has COVID right now. It's largely.
I'm sorry.
She's doing good. Everything's cool. But at the moment, we didn't know, and it was really crazy, frightful, and everybody had different reactions to it, and I was the face of a very large resort and the hospitality operation of that resort, and I caught a whole lot of various people's opinions. There was just this overwhelming dread of what's going to happen to my career, what's going to happen with my family. I can't win. I couldn't please anybody. That guy who wanted people in masks was about to get punched by this dude that thought everybody in masks was an idiot. The governor was saying one thing. The sheriff was saying he wasn't going to enforce what the governor was going to say. And I was the guy trying to protect my team. And it was just, I had 3 restaurants and a team of 70, 80 people. And it was just mayhem. And eventually I said, man, this is bonkers. And so anyway, I really put the pedal down on ball pythons and started learning about social media just as fast and as hard as I could. And 3 years later, here I am. I'm now a restaurant consultant. I no longer. I'm fully self-employed. I've left employment of other people altogether. I'm a restaurant consultant, professional musician, and ball python seller. And I have a show on YouTube where I talk about it. If you're not subscribed, check me out. Come to the show, and that's the last plug I'll do for myself. This is John's show, but that was that's my show now.
Hit that link. Oh, that's your link tree. Okay, yeah. So yeah, you can find all his information there. Your Instagram, YouTube. I think you're on TikTok.
Yeah, a little bit, slightly on TikTok. Pretty good on Instagram. Pretty good on YouTube. Slightly. Yeah. I'm TikTok curious. Is that how we put it?
Yeah. No, that absolutely. Jessica, what is going on? And Shane, thank you so much, guys. Really awesome to see everybody who made it out. So when COVID came about, how did you get through that? I mean, restaurants shut down, all the non-essential businesses shut down. And what was that like for that, let's say first year, or, when that kind of eased up?
It's really been something I've kind of pushed out of my mind. One of my strengths has always been kind of compartmentalizing things, and we can psychoanalyze that to quite a lot. We could probably keep ourselves occupied on that, but we won't. So in the time since then, I've really kind of put it out of my mind.
Yeah.
But the string of events went, and I remember very vividly because I had a gig. I'd been out on tour, and I was going to finish the tour at the resort where I worked, which is very rare. I usually don't cross the streams, so to speak.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
I keep them separate worlds because they're separate identities and separate sort of masks that I wear. Anyway, I got back into town on March 20th, drove from Jacksonville, Florida, back up to North Carolina that day. And then the very next day, I go in to check on the restaurant operation, and I was going to be playing there that night. And my boss comes to me and he goes, "Adam, it's done. We're shutting down for 8 weeks. We're going to get the PPP loan. Everybody's got a job. Everybody's going to get paid. Everybody's going to get looked after." And they did. That company was amazing, fantastic company. And I know they were not the problem. So we went home, and my boss was like, "Adam, you're the department head. Like, you don't get to just sit around and do nothing. You're going to work from home." And and one of the cool things that we did that I hated, but it was cool, in the mindset of what do you do when challenges hit? Remember, you couldn't buy toilet paper. Like, there was this run on toilet paper, and then a run on meat, right? And all this fear-inducing, and I get it. I'm not blaming any. I understand it. So we could get toilet paper and we could get meat.
Oh, true. Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah.
Industrial supply. So our supplier, Cisco Foods, is going, "Guys, we're going to lose $1 billion because food is going to spoil in our warehouses."
Oh man.
And meanwhile, our customers in this resort that I worked at was also a private member community or semi-private. There were members that lived there, and they're going, "We don't know where to buy food. What are we going to wipe ourselves with? We don't have toilet paper." And I'm like, "Okay, mask up. 4 of us work and never come within 10 feet of each other. All the doors open, and we're going to run a drive-through bulk grocery." So we turned our restaurant into a bulk.
Wow. Really?
Yeah, I sent out a list of about 50 items. Hey, you could buy chicken, but you got to buy 20 pounds. You could buy pork, but you got to buy X pounds. You could buy ground beef. You want cans of corn? Cool, but it's going to be the 10 can, the big. You're gonna buy 3 pounds of corn. And we were selling toilet paper by the case. And what we did actually was, and we were very transparent about it. What we did was we did a flat 25% markup. We just said, "Hey, here's what we buy it for. We got to pay our crew. And we do have the PPP loan. So we're going to pass some of that value on to you guys. We don't really need to make it. We want to keep our core going." And that's what we did. And so thankfully that kept me busy. But that's a great example of like, okay, there's a big problem in front of you. Do you just quit and wither and die, or do you pivot and figure it out, kind of thing?
Yeah.
And that's sort of my secret sauce, I guess I would say, is one of my strengths. So anyhow, we did that.
Yeah.
You know, things never really got back to normal in that arena of that property and that community and that place in North Carolina. So ultimately, like I said, I tapped out, and I said, you know what? I think I can make it. I'm going to try this consulting thing. I think I can make it. I'm going to raise the music. The music was great. The music came back pretty quick. The gigs are back.
Okay.
The problem with gigs is I can't scale myself up. I can only play one gig at a time.
Yeah.
I can bring 50 ball pythons at a time now. I can't play 50 at a time, right?
For sure.
So I kind of cap out on my gigs, on my music, and I wanted to raise my ball python. As I was ratcheting down restaurants, I wanted to raise up ball pythons, and that's where I'm at right now. So my budget this year is to make more in ball pythons than I will restaurant consulting.
Wow.
But if I need revenue is different than profit, I'll profit a whole lot more on the consulting than I will ball pythons.
I gotcha. Yep.
Show up. I don't have to feed and all of those things. So but I'm learning it, and those are like my safety nets. That's me hedging my time and my losses.
Yeah. So I do have one question, and I'm actually going to pull my lamp over here so I have better lighting. It's like kind of bothering me how I can't see myself. But before I do that, what you coordinated, kind of everything that happened with COVID, as far as like, doing those markups and doing that drive-through and things like that. You coordinated all that, and kind of that was your solution.
Yeah.
Wow. That's really awesome. Yeah. Just give me 1 second. It's just, I want to be able to see myself a little bit better.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, I don't want to get too far into it, but it's a great show if we ever do want to. I do believe creativity can be taught or practiced and exercised. Like, I'm not going to go run a marathon tomorrow, but I firmly believe in a year I could if I really wanted to work at it.
Yeah.
And I think creativity is that same way, but my boss had this exercise that I actually never saw the movie, but he calls the Apollo exercise, where I guess there's some scene in the movie where, the capsule is lost or it's going to be lost. And the NASA guy, that thing's there and we're here. And how do we get it here? And I don't want to hear all the reasons we can't.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
One reason, one way we can. And that was kind of the COVID conversation. Okay, guys, what happens when the PPP money runs out? What happens because the world's going to go on one way or another, maybe with half the population. Thank God that didn't happen. But
yeah.
His mindset, my boss's mindset was, how are we going to be the first and the best out of this mess? And the answer was to keep our team together. And how we kept our team together was finding a way to drive revenue so that we could afford to keep the team. And how we did that was the toilet paper and chicken moment, where we went,
wow,
we can get chicken, we can get toilet paper. We could just sit on our butts for the 6 weeks that the PPP money is going to pay us and pretend like everything's fine when we knew it wasn't. And we said, right, well, then here's what we're going to do. And people would email their orders. We'd have it ready. It was really great. Like, looking back, it was really great. We push it out the door, like big boxes, like moving boxes of stuff.
Sure.
Push it out the door, close the door. Then they'd get out of their car, load it in their car. Then they'd get in and drive off, and then we could open the door back again. It was, we didn't know. What do you do?
Yeah. I mean, it was a crazy time, with the whole mask mandates and, shutting down all the non-essential businesses. And then you go to the supermarkets and there's nothing on the shelves, toilet paper, and, half the food's gone. I'm sure people were stocking up on their bottled water. It was a crazy, crazy time. And is that around the time that you got into ball pythons? I know you said you had one in college, but is that when you kind of like had to revise your train of thought and kind of, be like, all right, what can I do to kind of, compensate?
So what happened? So okay, so like as great as that story is and sounds, it kind of petered out. Clearly, grocery stores came back. Clearly,
Yeah.
Here's the thing: we sold a case of toilet, and when I say a case, I mean like 48 rolls of toilet paper to just about every person in that community. Well, once
Yeah.
you do that once, they're not buying anything from you. I mean, it takes a long time to go through 48 rolls of toilet paper.
Yeah.
So, um, so that kind of petered out. You can only sell one person 20 pounds of meat or 50 rolls of toilet paper so often.
Sure.
So what happened was is that I did have a bunch of time on my hands. So I bought that ball python. Then if you haven't noticed, I get excitable and almost addictive, hyper focus about things that I'm really into. And I started realizing that A, there was a market for ball pythons, but B, I didn't know anything about YouTube or social media. I was slowly becoming the old dude that I just laughed at and I never wanted to be. And I was like, man, this is clearly clear. What am I going to advertise on billboards? No way. I get social media is where this is going to be. And I really saw it as a transferable skill, which I actually use today. I just at this club I'm consulting for, I just put together an Instagram hype reel for a now hiring thing. And I was like, no, you got to use hashtags and tag local universities and local hospitality groups and get every staff member to share this 5 times and pay them off to do it. And they're like, really? I'm like, yeah. Oh, look at that. There's 42 applications now for 3 positions we have. Boom. So I saw it as an opportunity to learn a transferable skill with the thing I love about YouTube is I shouldn't say this, but it's completely true. There's zero accountability. Like, okay, what? I put up a video that sucks. So what? Crash the channel, start the channel.
For sure,
so it doesn't matter. Do it till you get good and then rebrand if you want to. Like, it's so cool. So that's how that progressed. It was like, okay, here's ball pythons. I want to learn about social media. What the hell? Let me just start filming some videos from my basement on my cell phone. And I learned how to edit. Sure. I learned how to communicate on social media, what the hell a hashtag and ats mean and all of that, you know?
Yeah. So assuming that's when things started, you're going on about 3 years now, is that right? Of being in, Sirius and everything?
Right, yep.
Okay. And so back in college you had a ball python. I'm assuming maybe you don't still have that one, or do you still have that ball python, or?
No. I had, looking back, I had all sorts of stuff. I had corn snakes. I had leopard geckos. I had ball pythons. I had an arowana fish. All of these in my little, apartment room. And I look back, I'm like, I didn't know anything. I don't even remember, I hate to say it. I don't remember the heat setup that I had for my ball pythons, man. And like,
I feel that. Yeah.
But no, what happened is when I moved from Gainesville at the University of Florida, I moved back to Jacksonville, and I took all my animals back to the pet shop. I said,
Sure.
I'm done. I'm out. I even took the arowana back, this big fish, it all of them, I took them all back.
So I kind of want to take us back in time just a little bit. But what was life growing, as a kid growing up? Were you interested in animals, keeping animals, out in nature? Kind of like what was that journey like, and that foundation for getting into ball pythons later in life?
I can't draw a straight line. I was definitely no, I mean, I definitely was an outdoors kid, but I can't say that I was always out herping or that I love, that I talked to turtles or, whatever people say. So like, I love fishing. I was always out in the woods building forts.
For sure.
In the Florida woods. I mean, I encountered a lot of animals and I've always loved animals. I think the other part of it too my parents were divorced, and I lived with my dad growing up primarily.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And we never had pets, never, ever. Like it just was in my father's eyes, it was, I think, I don't want to speak for him, and this is going to make him sound horrible. He's not, but animals were an expense that we didn't really have time for. It was just he and I. He worked like crazy, and I was at school and in daycare and all of that. So it wasn't like we were going to provide a great life for our animals, if we had any anyway, not to mention the associated with it. So we never had animals. So I get to college and I'm like, well, damn, this gecko's pretty cool. I'll take one of those. I'll take one, corn snake, sure. These ball pythons, they're cool. I had two of them. I kept two of them in the same cage, man. Like I say, I knew nothing about them at the time. You
said geckos is what you were keeping in the same cage, or what were you keeping together?
I was keeping ball python. I was keeping geckos.
Okay.
I was keeping ball pythons together.
Yeah, ball pythons. Gotcha.
Yeah. Which for anybody watching, don't do that now. But that's what I was doing.
I mean, we all start somewhere, and all learn. I never had like snakes or anything up until basically like pandemic, era type stuff, COVID. But before that, the only other reptiles besides like dogs and cats we had growing up were some geckos. We had a leopard gecko. We had a fat-tailed gecko. And we didn't know it. We didn't know they were any different, so we kept them together,
Right.
I had no idea, I actually had my dad on one of my shows. I think it was like New Year's or January 2nd. I had him on my show.
Yeah, I thought that was great to have him as a guest, man.
It's fun. I'm probably going to have him back because it's interesting to get perspective outside of, the ball python reptile world. And, because then they'll ask questions like, oh, yeah, how do you keep this? Or what do you do if, this situation comes up? And so it's really cool. But I had him on the show and I kind of mentioned to him looking back, because I remember like what our geckos looked like and everything. One had a big old fat tail, one didn't. We just thought the other one was like skinnier, you know what I mean? And yeah, finding out that they actually have, quite different, humidity and temperature requirements and things like that. I'm not an expert in them at all, but looking back, it was kind of funny because we just didn't know, I mean, I'm sure the same with ball pythons, there's not necessarily a lot of education that we could get, growing up as a kid. Like, I don't know if YouTube was even like a big thing at that point, you know what I mean? Internet was taken off, in the 90s, and so this is probably like maybe early 2000s or maybe even earlier, when we had these geckos, and we just didn't know.
No, and I was a history major. I have a degree in history. I remember professors being like, don't you dare think you can get your information from this internet. Like you have to, it was that new. We didn't have Google. I didn't have Google.
Yeah.
It was pre-Google, so I know it was pre-YouTube, So
right.
Of information was much slower and harder then.
Yeah, absolutely. And then kind of, talking about your childhood or growing up or any time before now, are there any memories or experiences that have developed you into the man that you are today?
With animals or just in general?
Just anything. Is there anything that they kind of like set the course of your life, at an early age or, growing up?
Yeah, I mean, wow, I don't know. Yeah, we could talk. I mean, in some ways, I think like I'm a true believer that like everything that happened before this moment is what has shaped this moment, and that I
for sure.
Even that. A few key things. So I never got an allowance growing up, so that forced me to be creative on because I wanted stuff. So you got to get stuff, so you become entrepreneurial that way, and I think that led to that. I think there's a healthier way to become entrepreneurial if anybody wants to steer their kids in that direction. But that was mine. So the day I turned 16, I decided I was going to get a job because I was tired of not having money, and plus I liked the idea that maybe I could take a girl out or something every now and again. That'd be cool. So then I got a job in restaurants, and I never left. I started washing dishes at Ruby Tuesday
Okay.
At 16. I ended up I was a general manager for one of their stores by the time I was 25. And so at that time um, my trajectory was kind of set. I went to college. I thought I'd be a history teacher is what I thought I would be. And the fact is, and I hate to say it, it was true then, it's true now. You can make more money slinging burgers as a restaurant manager than you can as a teacher. And again, I remember not having money. I remember my dad and I weren't poor. I just felt poor because I didn't have them. I didn't have any money in my pocket. I couldn't do anything. So has kind of weighed on me. Like, all right, Adam, you got to get money, man. That's how you're going to get stuff and get what you want to accomplish. So I stayed with restaurants, and I found that I love teaching. I love teaching a big class of a restaurant crew, and I love the pace and the lifestyle of it. It's not healthy all the time, so I like the balance where I'm at. But those few things, I met my wife. I joined a certain band, and I played in that band for 17 years. That's Spade McQuaid out of Jacksonville, Florida. I do my own gigs and solo gigs, but I still am a guitarist in Spade McQuaid. And we've gotten to do some really, we played with Steve Earle, we played with Flog and Molly, just some really cool experiences. It doesn't get much bigger than that, but I mean, they're pretty cool things and cool things that I've gotten to do. So those would all be kind of formative moments. Obviously getting married, my son coming into our life, which is mind-blowing. I mean, just few things are truly miraculous, but I mean, I don't know. Anyway, there we go.
Yeah. So you're a professional musician. And when did that start? Was that, as a child as well?
Yeah, that was as a child. My dad got me a guitar when I was 3. And I regret my dad's an excellent musician. Hey, you know how you had your dad on the show? My calendar here. My dad and I are playing a gig together. He calls me up. Yeah, he's like, hey, I got this thing, but it'd be really great if you played. And he was like, I kind of told him we would do it together. I was like, okay, Dad. First gig ever together, father-son gig, public. We've played together since I was 14, but March 31st next month, last day of the month. I gotta look. It's somewhere in Georgia, but we're gonna be gigging together, which is pretty cool. But I didn't seriously pick up guitar till I wouldn't even say serious, but I didn't pick up my guitar till I was 14. So almost 30 years I've been playing guitar.
Wow, that's awesome. And is your father a guitar player as well? Is he, kind of doing other stuff as well, or?
Yeah, he's not professional, but he's a heck of a player. I've many times thought he should be professional. At 16, he's from Valdosta, Georgia, but at 16, he and his band were playing on the Sunset Strip in Hollywood. They were there when I think they call it the youth riots or the kid riots of that movie Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, the latest Tarantino one.
Oh man, I don't think I've seen it, but okay.
That was around those youth riots. He was there for that. Anyway, he was the house band at a underage club called Pandora's Box. It was right on Sunset Strip, and that's sort of a center scene in that movie. Anyway, he did that, and he like I say, he's a great player, but he never pursued it professionally. And that's his choice, and I get why. I mean, I couldn't do it 100% professionally. Absolutely not. It'll never be more than side hustle status for me, but I love it though. It's great. I love having it.
Sure. That's really interesting. So I had one question earlier. You can say yes or no, but are you still like a history buff, or are you like a history buff? Is that still part of your life, or you kind of moved on past that?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Dirty secret. People always want to know what you studied and what you got your degree in. They never ask you what your GPA is.
Good point.
Well, so you asked what were pivotal things in my life.
Yeah.
I went to college. That was always expected of me. I did very well in school, in high school, and I tested very well. I got good scholarships, all that. I went to UF and I promptly lost all my scholarships. I wasn't prepared for college. I really didn't know how to study. I was just smart enough to get through high school. Turns out in college, everybody's a freaking genius, and if you don't know how to hang in that world, it really ate me up. And I was on my own. My parents were pretty direct with me that either I could live at home and not pay rent and go to college either in Jacksonville or in Miami.
Okay, gotcha.
Go to UF, but I was on my own if I did. And I was like, yes, 18, I'm on my own.
Yeah.
And so work was a very, very important part of my life. But I will say I never took a college loan. And how that has to do with history is I floundered around. I started as an English major, and I sucked at it, man. It was overwhelming. I nearly flunked out. I withdrew a time or two from college, and then I stumbled, which is another funny story of its own self, but I stumbled across this great professor who scared me. Oh my God, he scared me. And I tried to quit his class, and the college told me I was out of drops. I was like, what do you mean I'm out of drops? I'll pay you the money. I don't care.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah.
And they're like, no, you don't get to do that, man. You have to, you're in this class, or you can just withdraw and be done. And you've already withdrawn. You withdraw twice, you're done. You can't come back. And I was like, oh no. Jeez. And I had to take his class, and I knew that I could not go back to my parents and say, you were right. I failed. I should have stayed home. And so I stayed in his class. I did very well in his class. I switched to a history major because of him. And at the end of the day, it turns out a 2.2 GPA with enough credits will get you or anybody else a degree in history from the University of Florida. And so I got my degree and I got out of Dodge. And so now, yes, I have a bachelor's degree from UF. I knew I wasn't going to pursue it anymore, and I knew that academia wasn't for me. Business, pursuing money, and in a passionate way, not just being money hungry, but working was my skill, not academia.
Yeah, no, I feel that. I was never. Oh man, I always hated history, to be honest. I was always really good with English and things like that. You know, since I've been reading and writing from a young age, and I was always good at art. You know, I wasn't like focused on English or anything like that, but I was always like into art and music and things like that. Just history, I could not pay attention. You know what I mean? Like dates and oh my God, like all sorts of different things. I just wasn't interested in it. Didn't care about world wars. Didn't care about global conflicts or didn't care about the foundation of America. Like now I can appreciate it that I'm older. Like I can watch documentaries and like become fascinated with it. But when I got to pay attention in school, I just could not do it. I was like way more interested in other stuff. And
to go back to your question of like, am I still into it? I am. History to me, all the stuff that you just said, I completely empathize with. As soon as I was allowed to ask why something happened, what was the root cause of why it happened, then I was starting to study culture. I was starting to study sociological forces, political forces. That is cool. What happened in 1817 on March 4th? I don't know. I couldn't tell you, man. I had no idea why something happened. Oh, I loved, man. And I loved frontiers, man. Frontiers attract the criminals, the outlaws, the prostitutes, men and women. I mean, the entrepreneurs, like all the characters of society go to the frontiers, and so I would study the various frontiers, the rubber booms of the Amazon. The city of Manaus was one of the largest cities in the world when Henry Ford started producing the Model T because they needed rubber tires.
Oh, wow.
We're moving to Manaus in the middle of the rainforest. Today, it's a shambles. There's nothing left of it. It's a total boom and bust. But things like that, I really get into. What David shot was fired at Fort Sumter. I don't I don't know. I probably should know because I have the degree, but I don't know.
I think that's what it is, probably with the teachers that I had, they didn't really emphasize, those aspects of it. And they're just like, all right, you got to know this person, you got to know this date. They didn't say, oh, this is why it happened, or this is, like the course of events that, it was like just learning test material, things that you can't really apply. But if you can start to understand, like the psychological, the sociological, the geographic, and just like those different elements of it, it does become a lot more interesting for sure.
Who was after what was motivating who, and just,
yeah.
Love.
For sure. Really interesting, and thank you for sharing that. So kind of moving on, tell us a little bit about Proper Royals. When did you start Proper Royals, and how did you come up with that name?
I
know a little bit of the answer, but
no. I know the story. I'll tell you the story of the name. As far as when it started, I know that I started my YouTube channel in November of 2020. So that's probably like the official existence of Proper Royals. Anyway, okay. So it happened before then. I mean, clearly I didn't just pop up one day and have a logo and a name, but sometime over that summer, kind of two congruent stories happening at the same time. I had been convinced that there was a marketplace for ball pythons, and I'm kind of this optimist. Hey, if somebody else can figure it out, I can figure it out. Like most problems can be solved with time, money, and people. I have time. I may or may not have enough money. Like I don't have enough money to compete with Walmart. And then the people I could build relationships with. So I was like, you know what? I want to figure out this ball python thing. And I talked to my wife about it, and she of course thought I was crazy, but hey, it's the middle of COVID and we're having a good time, and Adam's caring for the animals and he's happy and blah, blah, blah. And I said, there's all these snake sellers out there. What happens when I breed animals and I got 20 snakes? Like at the time, 20 snakes was a mind-blowing number. Like, what would I do with 20 snakes? I was like, how am I going to sell 20 snakes? And I was like, I got to establish a brand so that I'm ready when I need to be ready. And so then it was like, all right, well, you want to learn about YouTube, jump in, get in the pool. So that's what I did. And I didn't really have any great name ideas other than I knew it couldn't say snakes or pythons in the name because I lived in that resort community worked at that I was telling you about. And my wife and I were one of probably two couples under the age of 60 that lived in there. And the last thing we did was all these members who were technically individually my bosses. They're all owners. They're all, share owners of the property. The last thing I needed was those members first being freaked out that I had pythons. I could just imagine, Edna going, Adam's got cobras. I don't have cobras. They're not cobras. Secondly, I didn't need a confusion of, well, is Adam dedicated because we pay him pretty well? Is he dedicated to what he's doing, or is he off running some other side hustle business? So I wanted something way under the radar, and I loved the idea of the name Proper. Things should be orderly. Things should be done right. It meant clean. It meant healthy. It meant honest. It's sort of my mission statement: do things the proper way. And so that was cool. And then I discovered in Europe or other non-American English-speaking countries, they call ball pythons royal pythons. And I was like, wait a minute. And it was like this magic thing because my middle name, this is completely true. My middle name is Royal. So I was like, oh, there it is, Proper Royals. I was like, I love it. And I told my wife, and it was perfect. It was like this, whatever the reverse of Catch-22 was. I had it both ways. She was like, I don't know what that means. I'm like, that's exactly what I want. And she's like, what? That doesn't make sense. I'm like, nobody here is going to know what it means. But the people that I want it to know what it means might just know. So I kind of kind of struck gold, more luck than anything, but that's the story behind Proper Royals.
Yeah, to me, that's fascinating. I think over like anybody else's name, I think, how do I put it? It's like, it's got the most value and most meaning behind it. You know what I mean? As far as like, it, it's your last name, and it's, yeah, it's really, really awesome that it that kind of ended up like that.
Yeah, and it's cool. Like I don't get lost in the mix. Like there's not, so and so's balls or so and so morphs. It's not that. It's totally unique kind of deal.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah,
I could. Go ahead.
Yeah, more forwards. That's totally true. And I'll tell a really quick story. The middle names in my family are the grandmother's maiden name that gave up her name to become a Shirah. So my father's mother, her name was Vera Royal, and she married a Shirah. She became Vera Shirah. And so my middle name is Royal. My son's name is Charlie Gallagher. Gallagher is his middle name. My mother's maiden name is Gallagher. So Brenda Gallagher, father, she changed her name to Shirah. So that's kind of how we honor the women in our family, the matriarchs. Yeah. Now, the wife's parents, I guess they just lose their names. I don't have a good answer for that. Like, hopefully Charlie names his children's middle name will be Kelly's maiden name, which is Johnson.
Oh, okay, yeah. No, that's really interesting and really cool to learn that about you. Now, kind of like with your wife and your son, do they help out with your business, or how do they play into what you're doing? Because you even say that your family business or family hobby turned business or something like that. Yeah. So are they there for that?
Yeah, they are in various ways. So yeah, when I first started, my tagline was my journey from family hobby to family business. That was my like initial tagline, my initial brand. And that's evolved to my journey from hobby to business. And now I think I can say, hey, it's the story of my ball python business. So hands-on wise, not a whole lot. Support wise and really frankly putting up with me. No, they're all in. Like Kelly, like I'll tell Kelly, like when I get a sale, Kelly's like, nice, where are we at? What's the project? Like where are you at from your your actual to your projection, what your budget was and your goals this week or this month. She's highly engaged. When I was ultrasounding with Charlie yesterday, like Charlie ultrasounded with me yesterday. He worked a little ultrasound machine.
Yeah.
But I turned around and there was Kelly behind me with her, double masked up with her COVID. And I was like, sneaking up on me. She's like, I just wanted to see how the girls were doing. I'm like, so they're into it, highly supportive, and they are hands-on when I truly am so busy that I can't handle it sometimes. No, I was going to say when I was in Colorado. It wasn't when I was in Colorado. It was when I was bending a show with Dale. She texted me. She was like, "Oh, one of the girls laid," and I was like, "All right, babe, you're up. You ready?" And we FaceTime. She grabbed the female off the egg. She got the eggs put away. They hatched wonderfully. Everything was good. So, so they're not day to day involved, but they're super important to the operation.
No, that's awesome to be able to rely on your wife and things like that when you absolutely need to. And this is really cool. But your son Charlie did a show with you or made some videos. Is that right?
Yeah, he's been in a couple, not a whole lot.
Okay.
He goes in and out. He likes how do I say it? He like any 10-year-old, he hasn't quite figured out what's cool and what's not. So anytime that there's like a little ego boost or like I could tell, wait, we're on you. Like he discovered what YouTube was. He's like, wait a minute, we're on YouTube. I was like, yeah. He's like, can I be on it? I want to tell my friends. I'm like, sure. And then his friends are like, yeah, well, we've all got YouTube channels. He's like, wow, okay. But he's pretty entrepreneurial himself. So
Okay.
it kind of goes in waves when he needs money or when he's working on something that he wants money for. He's
Yeah.
very excited. So he's actually, oh, this is kind of cool. Again, it's my calendar over here. March 4th and 5th is the Lakeland, Florida Repticon. And
Okay.
he's going to come vend that with me. And funny story about that. So there's a couple things. One, I can't believe it. 5th graders get to go to Universal Studios Islands of Adventure. It's $170 field trip. I was like, dude, if you want to go to that, you got to earn like half of it. Like I'll
That's
pay
cool.
half, but you're going to earn the other half.
Yeah.
And he said, "Oh man, are you going to make me scrub tubs?" And I never want the snakes to be punishment for. I don't want them to resent snakes. I want them to love them. So I know he hates scrubbing tubs. I'm like, no, you don't have to. I said, but you know what, Charlie? I went to this. I vended this show in Florida in Jacksonville, and it was just overrun. And we need these people. Don't get me wrong. I'm not knocking these people. It was overrun with like moms and grandmas with 5 kids that just had nothing to do that day, that were just going to go to the show and like handle snakes. That's all they did, man. Nobody bought anything. It was just a bust of a show. I hated it. And I said, you know what, dude? I said, you're going to be on kid duty from now on. Somebody walks up with kids and they want to hold snakes, you're going to be at the other end of my table with the biggest, coolest, chillest snake we have, and they could go see you. Because I couldn't get to the buyers. I saw them looking, like I could see the look in their eye. I just couldn't see it. And so I was like, you know what, Charlie? I'll pay you $20 a day and you are going to be on snake duty. He's like, I only have to work 4 days and I can go to Universal. I'm like, you got it, brother. That's the one.
There you go. Come on. I like it.
He's going to vend Lakeland with me, the 4th and the 5th, and then he's going to vend Jacksonville here in our hometown with me, the 11th and the 12th of March. So just coming up like 2 weeks, we'll be doing that.
Yeah. That's really awesome that you're, teaching them those values early, and kind of getting that mindset of, being an entrepreneur, earning your money and yeah, that's really awesome. I wish I had that a lot more as a kid. I mean, I had like a little paper route when I was, I don't know, 13, 14, and I had my first job when I was 14, but like to start, at his age is really, really awesome. And then, not only are you teaching him the business stuff, but you're, helping him, find like a love for animals and snakes and stuff like that. So it's something, some opportunities I never had growing up, but yeah, man, that's really awesome that you get your family involved like that, for sure.
Yeah, thank you. And I, to your point about the opportunities we had growing up, like, it's not to knock our parents.
Yeah.
But I think every dad wants to be a better dad, or as good or better than their dad was. And their dad has been the greatest dad in the world. My dad's a wonderful dad. But again, I think he could have done better on some money things. It doesn't have to be 0 to 100. It doesn't have to be this binary stance of you get nothing and then one day you have money. Because I went nuts once I had money in my pocket. Man, I could buy booze. I could do all kinds of dumb stuff with money. Like, I should have known how to handle it before then. And that's one of the things that has shaped me with Charlie. Like, I don't fear my son having money. Like, even if he does nothing but buy Pokemon cards that I think are dumb. Okay, either he's going to be right and they're going to be worth a lot, which some of them are. What are these Charizard things or whatever?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, it's crazy.
Some of them are. Or he's going to learn, looking back, he could have done better things with his money. Fine. He'll learn those. I don't need to manage that. He puts in the work. He can do whatever he wants, obviously ethically and within reason, but he can do whatever he wants with his money. I don't force him to save. I don't go, you can only do this or only do that. And you know what? He's pretty stingy with it. He saves it. He makes
That's good.
Yeah. I'm like, he'll be like, Dad, can I have a Kit Kat at the grocery store? I'm like, yeah, you got $2. Grab it. He's like, oh, no, I don't want it. I'm like, oh, now you don't want it.
That's good though, man. Like understanding the value of money early, which is, like I said, nothing that I was really taught. When I have this conversation with my parents and things like that, it's my parents, had to kind of figure it out as they went along and as they had me and got married, had me and things like that, and because they didn't have that influence, that role model in their life. Their parents died when they were very, very young. And so, it's something that they weren't really taught and they couldn't really pass down to me, except for, the things they did learn along the way. And, but to get, a child to understand the value of money and the understand the value of work, hard work ethic and things like that is really awesome. And even like Will Coast is saying, teach that work ethic and entrepreneurial mindset early. I have my 11-year-old work with me on the job site, picking up cut off wood and cleaning up for $20 a day. I mean, that's a great way to have them learn responsibility, work ethic, entrepreneurship. It's really awesome. And, I really hope I get the privilege of, having kids one day, and, hopefully I can, pass on things that I've learned. And like you said, become a better parent and father than, just, teach them, the things that I can, the best that I can. So, okay. So when it comes to like getting into the ball pythons and getting educated and things like that, was it YouTube primarily, like, or like, how did you learn and kind of train your eye and kind of understand genetics and things like that?
Yeah. Okay. So great. Yeah. Great question. So there's a really distinct, before my live show and after, and since my live show started. So before my live show started, it was all YouTube videos. I didn't know anybody else with snakes, with ball pythons. I kept like a super low profile. Like I couldn't be outed in my community. And by that, I mean my neighborhood. Like I said, that's where my job was. Like the neighbors, the owners, and I was an owner too, but there was 2,000 of them, only one of me. So they were the owners of the property and technically my bosses. So the last thing I needed was like this question of, hey, should Adam be here or not, kind of deal. Like that was my life, So I kept a super low profile. I would meet people, I would meet people that I was buying from, but I would drive hour and a half, 2 hours. Plus I lived in the middle of nowhere. I was 2 hours from everywhere, which is kind of convenient, like 2.5 hours from Atlanta, an hour from Asheville, 2 from Charlotte, hour from Greenville. So I could go to these places, but I was just meeting, like I was buying snakes off of Craigslist. I was buying them off of, Facebook kind of thing. And so it was all the internet, and it largely, truthfully was Chris Hardwick and Billy were my very first, like really the ones that I even remember that made an impression on me. It was them, man. I remember in the middle of COVID being like, all right, time for another egg race. Who's going to win this with Austin or Billy? And it's cheesy now, but that was like, it's funny, man. I watch their videos now and I'm like, it's almost like a kid watching like cartoons. Like, oh yeah, I love Thundercats. Yeah, I love Billy too, man. Like I was like, it was a bright spot in this really, really dark time. And I know that, look, I got to say it, man. I know Chris Hardwick he eats, pardon my language, he eats a ton of shit, man. But that guy did so much for our industry in the time of COVID. All those people that fell in love with Chris are the ones that are breeding now. And yeah, I know there's a lot of people getting out, blah, blah, blah. We could push and pull. I don't want to debate Chris. He's eating a ton of crap, But I think he's a good guy. I think his intentions were always very, very good. And I think he's a very honest, open, transparent human being. And I think he gets eaten up for being that honest and transparent. Like, people only have something to pick on him about because he was so open and transparent, So sure. I learned a ton from him, including some of his mistakes. But I think I'll say that to anybody, man.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I started the exact same way. Chris Hardwick was like the #1 person that I was able to encounter on YouTube, and you type in ball python anything, ball python breeding, ball python, temperatures. You type in what is a banana, what is a clown, or and he like goes through. That's just kind of like what comes up when you're a beginner and you're kind of exploring, how everything works. Like he does his genetic videos, pulling off a morph market, and you know, he kind of like also set a tone for a lot of people as far as like, he had like Bobby. So he kind of like, you know, Bobby around his neck is bamboo. And he like, you know, like you see that and you're like, oh man, I want a big old snake around my neck and I want to make videos. And this dude, you know, like he was just conquering that algorithm. And then, you know, once I kind of graduated from like Chris Hardwick, it was on to like Billy, where you're kind of doing a little bit more, I don't know, like high end stuff, a little bit more technical. And then, you know, moving from like Billy to like Canova, and, you know, just like there's certain people that you kind of, you know, watch and stuff to kind of learn and catch that eye for like, all right, you know, what am I looking for if I'm looking for a blade, or how does blade interact with it? You know, whatever, just giving an example. But
Right.
yeah, so he was that first person for me as well.
I took, and I'll say the word inspiration, not necessarily snake related, but I remember in COVID, him talking about COVID and him saying, I don't know what else to do. And him explaining to his wife, hey, this is working, so I'm going to do a video a day. There was a time in COVID he was doing a video a day, and he says in that video that they were taking him about 12 hours each video. Because if you notice, I dissected his videos a lot of times. If you notice, he had like 30 windows open at the top of his screen that he was superimposed over. So he had really mapped out every video, then edited it like crazy. And he did it every day, and it was for a long, long stretch of time. And so that really inspired me too. I remember being like, you know what? I would have to look at the timeline. There was a time I was doing 4, 5, 6 videos a week. Now, in retrospect, they weren't great. His were a whole lot better than mine, one a day. But I got the reps in, and I learned a lot about editing just because I followed that. And clearly I didn't hit the levels that he did. But I did learn a lot, and I remember just thinking, what a brutal work ethic this guy's putting himself through. And I remember thinking, I could learn something here, because you can get like, I remember like I would just, especially when I had COVID, like I watched the whole Tiger King in like 2 days, man. Like how
my
crazy.
goodness, yeah.
I mean, like it just wasted time. And I was like, this is bonkers. This is dumb. And I was like, if this dude in Colorado with his ducks and his cows can do it, screw it. I'm going to figure it out. And so I took a lot of inspiration at that time from him as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's funny that you bring up Tiger King, because they came out, you know, when the pandemic started and everything. And I remember watching Tiger King, same with you, binge watch that. And I actually think that was the show that got me to think about ball pythons more, because you see the tigers and everything, and then he talks about like Mario with his exotic pet trade, you know, having the snow leopards and all these, you know, crazy reptiles and everything. And I was like, oh man, people actually do this. People actually keep these exotic animals at home. And then you can, you know, and then, you know, I was like, oh man, you know what? I've always wanted a ball python. Let me kind of look into that. And then I think, honestly, I think that's how it started for me, is like watching Tiger King like 2 or 3 times. I'm like, man, like, you know, like people live like this, you know, and like then getting a ball python, and then seeing that like people don't just keep ball pythons, they're keeping, you know, 15, 20, 30 different species of animals, or they got, you know, 100, 200 ball pythons at their house or whatever. It just like fascinated me so much. I didn't know this world even existed as far as like the exotic, you know, reptile, exotic pet sort of, you know, keeping went.
What was funny to me though, hearing you say that, I was the complete opposite. I was like, those people are nuts. I have ball pythons. That's it. These people are bonkers over here, man. And then I had Reggie's Urban Jungle, Reggie on the show. And
that's cool.
I started doing the show prep, and I was like, wait a minute, Reggie worked for what's his name, the Tiger King? And I was like, oh
yeah, that's really interesting to hear a story about that. It's because you see what like how Hollywood and everything portrays it, which you know, I'm sure a lot of it is true, but at the same time, like all the people that have worked for him seem to really love him and really respect him, you know, on a certain level. And hearing Reggie say, you know, like he was cool, he treated me like family, and so that was really, you know, kind of cool to see.
I mean, it clearly was. It was like an endearing moment. I mean, and credit to Reggie. Reggie's who he is, man. He was like, no, this is what I do, and this, and it was great too. Like, talk about inspiring. Reggie was like, it was both inspiring, but also like solving an issue. He's like, man, I want to work with tigers, but I don't know how to. And he saw an advertisement in like a magazine. Hey, get certified in Orlando. He bought a plane ticket from Michigan to Orlando, crushes the test. And it turns out all those people in the Tiger King, the Doc Ansel, Tiger King, what's her name?
Yeah.
They were all there hiring them on the spot.
Yeah.
If you finished at the top of the class, it was like brilliant. Good for
Wow.
like, how many of us have the guts to do that? Like, it's fantastic.
Yeah, I'm loving the comments coming in, guys. Everyone's got an opinion about it, whether it's good or bad. But it was definitely something to watch during the pandemic, man. I definitely did watch it like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, I think I only watched it. Oh, I know I only watched it once, and I did. Like I said, I watched it when I had COVID, and then when I got over it and I could go back into normal life with my wife, I was like, babe, I'll watch it again with you if you want to watch it. She's like, I'm not watching a bit of that. And I was like, oh, okay. Right,
I get it. It's like crazy out of this world, like just something different, man. I think that's, what made it so popular is that, you kind of saw into this world of these exotic keepers and, these big cat sort of keepers. And, I had no idea that stuff even existed, and then to find out that in Texas, there's more tigers in captivity than there are in the world. Like, that's crazy. Yeah. So,
yeah. And I mean, in that way, it's exactly like
yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. They're breeding them and, they got 100 tigers, whatever it is that they got. And, they're out there feeding them every day and they're like becoming attached to them. But, people are like, oh, you're crazy. That's that's a wild animal or whatever. But like, they really got in there and did it, and I'm sure people see us the same way. It's like, oh, you have like 60 snakes at home. Like, you're crazy. Like, I had somebody ask me the other day, like, do you let your snakes like just roam around the house? I'm like, no, not really. Like, I have a boa. He's just chilling. He's been chilling there for a while, but my ball pythons will like go find somewhere to hide. You know what I mean? Like, if I let them out, I would never see them again.
No, yeah. Now, credit to Nicole. She lets her retics out in the house, but no, I keep. But no, to your point, like most people when so one of the people I consult with now, I've known him like 17 years. I worked for the PGA Tour after Ruby Tuesday, and he was an exec with the PGA Tour. And anyway, we reconnected, and he was like, Adam, you got all this scheduling stuff. He's like, how many clients do you have? I was like, well, I just have one other one in North Carolina. I got you in North Carolina. And he's like, what is all this, like, what are you doing? And I was like, oh, well, I breed reptiles. And he was like, what? And I was like, yeah, ball pythons. And like he just lost like color in his face. And he's like, what does that even look like? I was like, well, I converted my garage and I've got about 100 pythons. Yeah. It's like 100. And he's just like it's just total meltdown. He can't comprehend that here's this dude in a suit and tie.
Yeah.
Professional among professionals that's going to go home to 100 pythons. And he's like, he couldn't even comprehend it. And I was trying, he's a businessman. I'm like, no. You have these storage racks. You figured out animals per square footage. Everything is timed. Everything is very, very controlled. Temperature, feeding, all of that, marketing, everything. And he's like, okay, fine. I'll respect your schedule. This is when I need you. I'm like, okay, sorry, Rick, no problem.
Yeah. It's interesting to get people's reactions from people that have never been around a snake or never, or don't understand the ball python hobby, as far as like, you can't just have one, you can't just have two. It's like, if you're in it, you're in it. You know what I mean? Most people really want to do it big and really do want to make a business out of their hobby. And a lot of people, I think, don't understand that. But the people that actually try to understand it are fascinated. Like, I get so many questions from people that they're like, oh man, they'll start asking, how do you keep them or how do you breed them? Like, they want to know like what my life is like with all these, snakes at home. And I have a small collection. But when I tell someone, oh, I've got 17 snakes and a Savannah monitor, like, to me, like, when I tell somebody, they think that's a lot. And I remember when I first got my first ball python, I thought that was a lot. You know what I mean? So So it's really interesting to get feedback from people, and but then they become interested in it, and I think you can even make believers, in having those conversations where one day you might be able to sell them a ball python, and also having that passion about your animals. Like I think also can stir up a passion for somebody else who's like, oh man, like I never thought about having a snake, or I've always wanted a snake. My mom just never let me, and like before you know it, they're buying from you or something. So
it's exactly true, and to your point of have those conversations. Like, I'm not saying this to you, John. I'm saying everybody. Have that conversation.
Yeah.
Be knowledgeable. Be empowered enough to say, hey, I get that it's not for everybody. I'm allergic to cats and I don't like them. I'll say it. I don't think that means you shouldn't have them. Have cats. Yeah. Have them. Yeah. Fine. Do it the right way, blah, 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 all that good stuff. But it's the same thing with snakes. I was playing a gig, I think Morforge is from Naples. I'll be in Morforge. I'll be in Punta Gorda this Sunday. Matter of fact, at the Celtic Ray playing. So I'm down at the Celtic Ray playing music, Irish pub, and this guy, I'm making buddies after the show. He's loving it, this and that, and he's like, dude, what's your day job? What do you do? And I'm like, well, I'm a restaurant consultant and I breed ball pythons, and like, he's this massive like tatted pit dude, like he's this punk rock, like don't mess with him kind of guy.
Yeah.
And he gets furious. He's like, what? Like, why? He's like, in my face, like, why would you do that? I can't believe it. Unbelievable. And I was like, dude, I said, wait a minute. Just a second ago, you loved me. You just bought me a Jameson shot and introduced me to your wife and your friends and everything. I said, so
yeah,
that's the good dude test. Like, hang on a second. I said, they're for me. They're great pets. He said, they're horrible pets. I'm like, what do you know about them? He's like, nothing. I don't want to. And I'm like, okay, well, there's the problem, man. Like,
exactly. Yeah.
And look, Naples is right on the edge of the Everglades, so they're being intruded. They're having the intrusion of the Burmese pythons, which we're all products of our environment, so I can get it. But yeah. I had to say, wait a minute. We already connected a moment ago. This can't go out the window. And we ended up, and he was like, I'm not going to own a snake, and I think you're nuts. And I was like, hey, but I'm not intruding on you. You would be resentful if I asked you to stop something that wasn't intruding on me and was responsible, right?
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, yes, I would. I'm like, okay, that's all I'm asking. He's like, all right, fine, bro. He's like, I'll see you next time. So it was cool.
Yeah, no, there's definitely people out there, they just don't understand because they've never been around it, and that's totally fine to, I think people are afraid of what they don't understand or never been around, or so.
100%, always.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. So I'm curious, what projects are you working with right now? I know you got how many ball pythons in your collection right now?
I think like everything, hatchlings, holdbacks, breeders for sale, everything I think is right around 90 right now.
Okay, gotcha.
That fluctuates a little bit, but I think it's right around 90. So
yeah,
I have this handy list because I can never remember, but people always ask me, and even on my show they ask me. There it is. There's the focus.
Yeah, nice.
Recessives I'm working with right now. Well, let's start with female breeders that I have. Female breeder recessives I have are Axanthic, Candy, Clown, Cryptic, Ghost, Genetic Stripe, Lavender, Pied, and Ultramel. And this season I'm breeding 20 females.
Wow. No, that's good to know. I'm glad. I mean, I know I like hear, some of your projects here and there. That's good to know because I would like to get in on some of those, or at least expand. Kind of see what see what you produce and stuff. Now, what is your heaviest project, or like what are you working the hardest, or what are your goals as far as like where you're trying to take everything?
Yeah, look. This is not the popular opinion. I kind of have had to sort of, I'm still in the place where I'm sort of taking things as it comes to me. So 2022 was this amazing year of opportunity for me. Last February, about a year ago, a breeder that I bought 3 snakes from and was had kind of been a mentor to me. He said, Adam, I just got a promotion. I have to take it. I have to move. I can't take the snakes. I'm going to sell everything. Or no, at first he said, I'm going to sell most of them. I'm going to keep a couple. And I want to give you the first opportunity. And my response to him was, unless you sell me your ARS rack, I can't buy any of them because I don't have a place for it. Yeah. I said, if you were interested in selling that, I'd love to talk business with you. And I remember I was on a birthday trip to Washington, D.C. I was sitting in Dulles Airport on my computer, and the email came through. And he said, you know what? I just talked to my wife. Take everything I wanted to keep, take everything, and the ARS rack for X amount of dollars. And I said, done. I'm going to do it. So that immediately I went from, 27 snakes to like 55 snakes instantly. And so the reason I tell that story to your question is, if you'd asked me this a year ago, I would have said, well, I'm really excited about my lavender het pied girl, and I'm pretty excited about this male clown that I have, and I'll see what comes from that. Well, when opportunity lands in your lap and it's full of clowns, pieds, and genetic stripes, okay, suddenly I'm into clowns, pieds, and genetic stripes. So that's kind of how that went. Same with Ultramel in that collection. I got this beautiful breeder Ultramel, but I got a bunch of his holdbacks that are double head Ultra Clown. So
okay,
I'm 7 months, 8 months away from starting to pair double head Ultra Clowns together. So for me to say like, what am I like working the hardest? Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes it's what opportunities come along. So many people are getting out right now. Like I bought 2 collections since then that were just phenomenal collections as well. So I've accumulated some real firepower. And I will say, let me give one disclaimer. If you all decide to go down that path, have a quarantine area. What you see behind me is my for sale and quarantine area. Behind the Proper Royals banner is a doorway into a separate room. That's where my breeders are. Keep your your biosecurity the best you can with the resources that you have, because it could be incredibly dangerous. And doing shows has freaked me out too. I'm right now in the process of kind of evolving how I reintroduce my animals when I get back home from shows. So, but to get to what I'm most excited about, or what I'm working the hardest is whatever opportunity there is. What I'm most excited about.
There we go.
I have my pairing sheet. Let it focus. Anyway,
there we go. Yeah.
Anyway.
Nice. He's very, very professional.
Yeah, those of y'all that don't know me in the audience, I love organization and my spreadsheets. I'm happy to share any of it with you if you want it. None of it's proprietary. It's just what works for me. Let's see. I have, I got a bunch of good clown stuff coming this year. I say a bunch good. It's good to me. Pastel Enchi clowns, super Enchi clowns should come along this year. I love Axanthics, man. A little simpler, but just fire Axanthic will be the best that I could produce from my Axanthic projects this year. Okay. But I've got some fire holdbacks from last year that are phenomenal in Axanthic. I love that. I'm really excited. It's my only genetic stripe pairing, but I have a blackhead het genetic stripe to another blackhead het genetic stripe. So I could hit a super blackhead genetic stripe that I don't think exists yet. I haven't seen one.
I have no idea.
I don't really get caught up in world's firsts and that stuff. But hey, if it happens to come my way, why not? Hey, Jeremy, man, congratulations.
Yeah, that dude's He'll hear Axanthic from like 10 miles away.
It's like the bat symbol. Wait, Axanthic. Yeah. Boom. So his son was born on Friday, on my birthday. His son was born. How cool was that?
On
Huh?
your birthday. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody, make sure you guys go say congratulations to Jeremy at Warfels Morphs. Just had a baby boy, Hudson. So awesome.
Yep. Let's see. I'm also really excited. I love candy. I've got a candy female breeding to a Enchi pastel double het candy pied. So maybe I could get some double hets, but also candy het pieds would be great as well.
Mm.
And then my pie projects this year, I'm pretty excited about. I will have a ton of banana pies if that's what people are into. The downside is that the dad is a male maker, so all the banana pies will be males. But it's still cool, and I'll have let's see, I could hit a banana leopard pie, which is stellar. I'll be pretty pumped about that. And then
Nice.
I'm trying to think. I have to keep my list because I suck at these. I suck at remembering everything in my head. So I've got, like I say, I've got a lot of cool things cooking, and one of my males is one of my busiest males is a hypo-pied super pastel. So genetically the same as a triple visual, right? So people can have all these opinions about pastels, but in hypo and pied, pastel is just primo, man. So I'm really excited that all of his offspring will either be visual pied, visual hypo, het for the other, and pastel. Like the building blocks this year are just phenomenal that I got coming.
That's awesome.
And he's
really cool.
Yeah, he's going to 4 females this year that are all visual pied or visual hypo.
Nice. That's really I would love to get in hypo. I just see so many amazing things being done with it, especially right now. When people are starting to understand, how valuable and how important hypo is, and kind of what it can do for their collection. I think a lot of people are starting to gravitate towards that. There's a lot of people that are saying, hypo over Desert Ghost now, which I think like even a year ago, people were like Desert Ghost everything, but now people are kind of like realizing, how amazing hypo is. So
yeah, and I don't get into chasing genes or this over that or whatever. I do like hypo a lot, and I do think it also ages very well. I do not have any Desert Ghosts, so I can't speak. I've been around it a lot. I've seen it a lot. I think hypo ages extremely well. I can't say it does better than anything, but I've heard other people say it ages better than even Desert Ghost. But hypo ages just so beautifully. So, man, I think if y'all have ever seen my show, I don't handle my snakes at night because it's feeding night. But if I could show just one hypo, and this animal on the show has no banana. Everybody thinks it's a banana. There's no banana in this hypo, and she's just about mature. I'll show you the value of hypo.
Okay.
It's your show.
You could show me anything you would like. Yep, absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
If you want to give a rundown of what you got coming up, or if you got an announcement or two, because I got to move my banner and go into the other room real quick. Let me grab that snake.
Sure.
And I got to not to bite me too. So hang on a second.
Oh, you're good. Yeah. So that's a good segue. Everybody, make sure you go follow Adam at Proper Royals. I know Bosa posted his link, but if you aren't following him, you're missing out. He's got an amazing show every Tuesday night, 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. So that would be 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And then next week, make sure you guys check out my channel. I have Leviathan Snakes coming up. It's going to be super awesome. I love Stephen and Courtney. And I think I found them from Adam's channel as well. So in that time, Stephen and I have had, amazing conversations. One of those, people I can go to, ask questions, talk to. Stephen and I have had a couple, 2-3 hour long conversations on the phone. Amazing dude to be able to listen to and try to learn from. But you are back, Adam. I was just telling everybody to make sure they check out Leviathan Snakes next week. I've got them on.
I couldn't echo that sentiment even anymore. Stephen and Courtney I think they've been on my show more than anybody, and we've become great friends. And I talk about entrepreneurial, creative ideas, and they're doing it. I'm not going to steal their thunder, but go check out their Instagram if you want to see what they've been up to. I'm not talking. Oh, hey, here's a cool shelf in my new snake room. No, like, oh, wow, changing, like, oh, wow, people can actually go do this kind of level stuff, you know? All right, so this snake is in shed, first off. And second, she is I'll say only, and sorry, this thing is, let me see if I can get my camera to focus on her instead of my eyes. Hang on one second. There it is. This girl.
Beautiful.
She was a fire, pastel, and she. And I say that's it, hypo. But there is no banner in her. Look how clean that girl is. And
that is beautiful.
Like I say, she's in shed. Like, that's what hypo does. Look how amazing that is, man. So imagine that in a clown. Imagine that in an ultramel. Imagine her not biting me. That would be fantastic. Come on, girl.
Oh man,
I'm really pumped on hypo. And just to give a shout out, this is produced by Dale Richards at Constricted Reptiles, and he's just been an awesome friend and mentor. And I did pay him for the snake, if anybody wonders, because I've vended with him and worked for him before, but I always pay him for the animals. But this girl is the one that convinced me on hypo. So, all right, I'm going to put her away. And I really don't handle my snakes at night. That's how I keep up their feeding response. But she is just such an amazing example. And look how big she. I mean, she's probably 800-900 grams by now. So like most of them are starting to fade by then, and she's just electric. Look at her, and she's in shed too. There you go.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So that's her. All right, that's actually pretty representative of her color. Look at that without getting washed out. There we go.
Yeah.
Unreal.
That's beautiful.
Cool. All right, be right back.
Yeah, I'm really excited for hypo. I need some hypo. What's going on, Kel? Thank you for coming by. Gold Coast Exotics. I'm not sure if I said hi to you yet. But if anybody has any questions for Adam, feel free to ask. I still have like 100 more questions. I'm not gonna lie. So if we can't get to everything tonight, we're definitely gonna have a part 2. Because Adam's just awesome.
I had to keep the marketing in line there, you know.
Oh yeah, no, you're good. So I kind of ask you a couple more things, then I want to get to one of my segments called Pastor Guess. Man, I wrote so many questions today. I honestly thought I was going to run out of material. I always get nervous that that's going to happen. I'm like, all right, 60 minutes in, I'm going to be done. I'm not going to know what to say. But I'm really loving our conversation. And like I said, if we do gotta wrap up, try to let me know as far in advance as you can, I guess. But man, I got some really good stuff.
I might restock on the wine after Pastor Gas, but I'm in good shape, man. We'll have, if you're enjoying it, the audience is good. I'm cool, man. I'm good.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Because I was like, man, I don't know if I should skip over some questions, you know what I mean? But otherwise, I got some more stuff, man. It's really awesome to be able to talk to you.
We could do it again, man. I'm down for that too. Whatever works for you, man.
Okay. Let me ask you. Let's see. Just trying to make sure, if I do skip over some ones, not to miss any really good ones. What are your favorite recessive, or what's your favorite recessive and your favorite incomplete dominant?
Right now, my favorite incomplete dominant is pretty easy. It's acid, and it's one of those things you always covet what you don't have. And I do have acid. I have a beautiful acid het clown male. And he will not lock. Ugh, he's driving me crazy. He's huge. He's as big as that girl I just showed you, and he will not lock, man. And the problem, he's young. He's a voracious eater. He's a 2022. He hasn't gone through his first winter yet. And frankly, Mother Nature's going to dictate. He just ain't ready. So
Mm.
I love what's happening with Acid. I regret that I'm going to
Yep.
be a year behind. I wish I was producing now because I
Yeah.
could. I have beautiful female clowns and beautiful female heck clowns, and I just God, I want to hit them this year, but he's not producing, and the girls' follicles are growing to the point where I have to put a male in. It's going to lock with them. So I
Yeah.
really like what Bassett's doing. I'm a big fan of that. I tend to kind of be a tried and true, proven traditionalist kind of guy. Like Stephen put me on the cutting edge of some neat stuff with Leviathan Snakes. I'm not a cutting edge kind of guy. Maybe I won't get as rich, but I can always sell a pied. I can always sell a clown kind of mindset, and that's proven true. I also believe I can also always sell a banana. It's unreal. Yesterday I sold a banana clown pastel female, not a cheap snake, man. I sold one yesterday, so I like those. But yeah, let me look. I'm going through my list here, man. Like clowns I love. Genetic stripe I'm pretty hot on right now, man. I'm gonna Instagram tomorrow. I'll probably post some of my genetic stripe stuff that I just look on camera and I'm like, man, that's crazy. I think Candy is relatively untouched. Oh, Benji's got man. I don't have a problem sourcing it. I have a problem making more of it, man. I'm good on the sourcing. I'm cool on that. But thank you, Benji. I will check you out, man. I'm going to make a note here.
And Jeremy, just real quick, Jeremy, I'm going to get your question, I promise. But you can continue, Adam. I actually have that question on my list too, so I won't forget it. I promise.
Cool. I got to. I have two clutches shots at Dreamsicles this year, so I'm pretty pumped about that. Yeah, pretty cool. And I'm really inspired on that right now. I just visited, guys, you should check out somebody called Biological Canvas. That's Ryan down in Palm Coast, Florida. He's got about 40 snakes, and about 38 of them are Dreamsicle combos. Unreal collection. Beautiful. Putting out a video of, I just went to his facility. I'm going to be putting out a video of a Florida tour of breeders I did. So I'm really inspired on that. But those are some of my favorites. But I'm still new enough where I'm just totally in awe that, okay, wait a minute. I put these ingredients together and I could predict what's going to come out, So it's cool.
Yeah.
And next year is going to be better. My clowns are going to be better. I just picked up a mahogany pied. He's amazing. I've got a couple. So I do this thing where I pair up animals. If I sell one, I'll keep the other. So I've got either a super mahogany cinnamon male, or I've got a super gravel Enchi female. They're both for sale, but when one goes, the other one is staying. So I've got both. That's
interesting.
I can't keep both. They were in collections I bought back on Black Friday, but they've gone through quarantine. They're up now for sale on Morph Market, so if people want to check those out. But I am. It's crazy. I'm incredibly like I said, I'm a bit of an addictive personality, and I'm also incredibly impatient. Ball pythons are just exciting, man, because nothing comes fast or easy. Like you got to work hard at it. I love it though, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, if you could eliminate one gene, just completely wipe it off the face of the earth, what would it be? I'm not saying we got to wipe it out, but like if one gene just never existed, is there something that you just don't care about?
No, not at all. Because if I don't care about it, I don't pay any mind to it. So like, I don't know. I hate to disregard your question. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I get it.
It's honestly, that's sort of how I approach life. Like things that I don't like, generally, like the drama and the gossip in our industry. Those are just people looking for attention. The best thing I could do is not pay them any attention. Just go on. Like I don't have time for it. So, no, I don't. No, I have never felt that emotion toward a gene of like this has to be one. No, won't work with it. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, no, for sure. I've heard it put this way. I think Justin Kabilka will. I think it's Justin Kabilka. I can't remember where I heard this from. But every gene has its place. It might not look good for the first 100 combinations people are making, but eventually you find that one combo that works, and that's how Batmans get made. That's how Pompeii's get made. Whatever. Like, just because a gene isn't super flashy or doesn't do what you want it to do right away with what you're kind of predicting, it'll work with something else. Someone else is going to figure out that sort of key and unlock that code to it. So I definitely respect that answer for sure.
Well, and I also I look at things. I always look at things as opportunities. Either I'm going to love it and breed it, if it's in my life, however it got here, if I need a collection or whatever. Either I'm going to love it and I'm going to breed it, or I'm going to find a customer that loves it and wants to breed it, and I'm going to make money on it. So why? I'm not going to hate it. I'm not going to buy it ever again. But I don't. I like I say, I've literally never felt like that's the devil. That's horrible. No.
No, not that way. I'll say what my answer is. I always get hate for this too. So maybe it's best that you didn't say anything. Is I'm not the biggest fan of Calico. It just drives me crazy. I don't know. Really? I mean, I like Calico, like banana calicos. There's some combinations I can really, respect. But as far as working it into my projects, I don't think I'm really gonna be doing that unless someone just offers me something that's got it just happens to have it in there and I really like it. I might do that. But for some reason I just don't really like what it does. I don't like how it raises up the sides. I don't know, just kind of blurs and blah. I don't know.
Yeah,
and
that's style. I don't.
Exactly.
Late 90s rap metal, that just wasn't for me. But hey, that's fine. A lot of people made a lot of money out of it. For that. Hey, nice job.
Oh man, I don't know. You guys feel free to send me some Calico type stuff, in my DMs or something. I'll consider them.
Hey, one thing I will say, though, on that topic, I think people should avoid the idea of, well, that's a good enough bargain. I'll buy it and then I'll try and breed it out. That you don't get that time and that effort back. And I don't know why, but the odds always if you bought, say you loved mahogany and mahogany acid and calico came up and oh man, it's the right price. I guess I'll just breed it and keep the ones that don't have calico. You're wasting your time because really the cost of time is almost immeasurable. So it's a $50-$80 difference. Just figure out how to make the $50 or $80 back. That's going to be way quicker than breeding calico out of your projects. Because of course, it's always going to work out. The one that's the most magical is going to be stuck with the calico that you didn't want in the first place. So,
I'll say this about I'll say this on my end about the calico and why. Or at least what I think psychologically is going on is how some people are afraid of holes or honeycombs or just they have that weird phobia of I don't know, gaps or I don't know what it is. The calico for me, it does something in my brain that just it's oh no, it shouldn't be like that. I don't know. I can't explain it. I cannot explain it. It's not I'm scared of it or anything, but when I see a calico, I identify it immediately and my brain just goes haywire. I don't know why. I can't help it. Wow. That's why I said you guys are more than welcome to send me calico stuff. Like I said, I like banana calico stuff, you know what I mean? And there are some combinations I can respect, but there's just something in my brain that goes off that's something's not right. I don't know if it's an OCD thing or whatever. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is.
Wow.
I can't help it. I'm so sorry.
If a gene has never caused me to feel there's an imbalance in the universe. So, but if it did,
that's kind of what it is. It's weird.
They could empathize with me. That's cool.
Yeah, tryptophobia. I don't have tryptophobia in the slightest, trust me. But it's just one of those things. It just throws me off. I'm just staring at it from a distance. I'm I don't know. But we'll move on from that.
Hey, I have to say really quick, I got to say hi to Jessica from the Hold Back Rack. I think their podcast, John, of course, yours notwithstanding.
Yeah.
Their podcast is absolutely one of the best out there, if not the best.
Absolutely.
I regret that most Friday nights I have to go work either at a gig or over to a restaurant. So I usually only see about half of their show live, and then I have to watch it again. But it's this great combination of true entertainment and I like academic nerdy banter, and they're the best at it. And
Absolutely.
Yeah, Jessica just has no restraint. It's wonderful and beautiful way. So I think they're fantastic. You guys should go check them out. And this was a legitimate DM stream from maybe even from today. I was like, I don't know how we ever do it, but I want to have drinks in person with those two with no cameras.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't mean it in a weird way. I mean it in like just a camaraderie, hanging out. Like it would be a blast. I would love that opportunity.
Absolutely. Yeah, they have an amazing podcast. Make sure you guys go check it out. Also, I know a lot of other people have podcasts. Everybody support everybody. That's what this community is all about. But yeah, Jessica and Jenna have such an informative podcast, and the way that they both approach things is just like, I mean, you're like a numbers, a technical sort of guy as well, Adam, and that's why I really like your show. And they are too. You know, they like can really break down something, and I love that.
They have,
they put it in.
They're smart and hip. Like usually people are one or the other. Like, oh, they're really cool, but they're dumb, or they're really smart, but God, they're boring. No, they crush it. Like they're the boom, full circle. There we go.
No, absolutely. Yeah, man, I love people that can really do that. Yeah, be very informative, but also be fun with it. And yeah, I just love seeing their perspective on things. Because I don't think you get a lot of that, in a lot of people's podcasts. It's, like either they're fun or they're all knowledge, and it's like, they have a good balance of everything. So.
Yep, I agree.
So where do you see yourself and your business in the next 5 or 10 years?
Yeah, that's a big question, man. I have, the simple short answer is I do believe there's an avenue for this to be my primary revenue source. I say it that complicated because I don't ever think I'll do only ball pythons. For the simple fact that I like doing other things. Music's always going to be a part of my life, and I love performing. And frankly, I like the business challenge of figuring out how to perform and make money. Like what a childhood dream. I can sing songs, play guitar, and get paid. Okay, great. I'm gonna do that.
That's awesome. Yep.
And what's that?
Oh, I said that. Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, that's the dream right there.
Well, it's completely fulfilling. I tell people it's the highest high I've ever felt when a gig goes well. Like, forget the pay, forget everything else. I want the pay and all that, but forget it. That moment it's incredible, and I love it. I long for that sometimes. So that's always going to be a part of it. And then like, there's other things that I'm good at. And I've debated ad nauseum with Stephen and Courtney about this. Maybe I can make $1 million in snakes. I don't know. But I'm very good, and I know I'm very good at investing in rental properties because I have the experience and I've proven it to myself. I've done that for 14 years now. I'm not going to just walk away from that because there's this big snake carrot dangling in front of me. No, I might hedge my bet a little bit on music and rental properties so that I can focus on snakes. So I will devote a huge amount of energy to snakes. I think that it's the vehicle, or vice versa. Maybe YouTube and social media is the vehicle. I'm starting to see more as I've grown on social media. I'm starting to see more and more revenue opportunities that I didn't quite understand were there in social media that are there now. So if somebody's like, what is this weird code that Adam's talking in? As you build influence in the form of subscribers and followers, you suddenly have this creative leverage. So one of my biggest challenges the past 2 years was the cost of feeding my animals.
Yeah.
I don't want to dive into it unless you want to dive into it, John. But I don't care to breed rats. It's just not going to happen for me.
Yeah.
So I had to figure out a way to lower my overhead on my rats because in 2022, my rat bill alone was around $6,000. That's a lot. That's half of the mortgage that I paid on my home in 2020.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I had to figure that out. And what I found was that suddenly my influence through followers and subscribers, I could leverage that with sponsorships. Now, I can't divulge the exact agreement that I have with Cold Blooded Cafe, but I can tell you that my rat overhead this year is going to be much, much lower, depending on what I need and that sort of thing. It'll be 30 to 50% less than what it was last year. And I'll be producing better animals and higher quality, higher revenue this year. So costs go down, revenues go up. Boom, that equals more profit. So what I'm saying is, your question was where do I see my business in 5 to 10 years? I see snake revenue being the primary component of it. But I see social media opening up an incredible world of other revenue opportunities, and you see that with Billy. You see that with all around our industry, but with Billy with his software program. You see it with Will Banks with his incubator program. You can start to diversify, even on a smaller, newer level. Most Exotic Creations with their merch and their clothing line or Patreon. So I think the anchor will be ball pythons, but I think that the neat thing about ball pythons is as intensive as they are, outside of when you're producing that really focused time of hatchlings, you have some extra time where you can be building other things,
Exactly.
So, yeah. So that's really my goal. In that, I don't know if you noticed, in 5 years, short of long-term clients that are really sweet clients that I'm happy and passionate about working with, I'd like to I would be okay with stepping completely away from restaurants in the next 5 to 10 years.
Sure. Yeah, no, I think that's awesome. I think if anybody can do it, you're like one of those people that can. So
crazy. I'll tell you what, like I'll work myself, to unhealthy levels, but I think I'll figure it out. I do believe that now.
Absolutely.
But saying that is very kind. I mean that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, just the way your brain is and the way like you tick and just the way you are, man. Like you're definitely gonna figure it out, and I think you're on your way to doing that. Absolutely. So I'm gonna go back to Jeremy's question because it was something I had on my list, and then we'll kind of I think I have like 2 or 3 questions before we get into that pass or gas. But what's your dream reptile? If you could own something outside of ball pythons, what would that be? Not that you got a breed or anything, but do you have like a dream reptile or dream animal?
It's ball pythons, and I know that's ducking the question. I still feel like a kid on Christmas morning every day when I walk in here. I really, really do, and it's this beautiful combination of chasing the business and the ball pythons together. Because honestly, you could start a business doing anything, and I could have ball pythons without the business. It's the two of them together are this. It's so good. It's so invigorating just to me. Like it's exciting to me.
Yeah.
And if I had to define that, it's that we're at that perfect medium ground of what's known of ball pythons and what's unknown. The evolution is happening in front of our eyes. Did you catch when I said I might be able to produce something that's never been made before? When does a human in their life really truly get to do that? Not even in art. Hell, there's only 12 notes in Western music. How many different ways can you rearrange them? Like, there's not that much left to create.
Yeah.
Yes, there is. I mean, creativity is boundless. But biologically, it's amazing. I'm just invigorated by it. So right now, it's producing the baddest ball pythons that I possibly can is what gets me going. I do have I've got one crested gecko and I
Oh,
have
okay.
one dart frog. So those are my other
Nice.
sort of, and I've got two. I got two great dogs. One of them's a sweet girl named June, and the other is a completely blind. He's had his eyes removed, completely blind.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, rat terrier, and they are a very odd couple, and they're both beautiful. They're both rescues, and
Yeah.
I'm joyous to have them in my life.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Now this is like kind of one of my sort of icebreaker questions. Like it's something I've been asking everybody.
Okay.
But if you could hybridize any two animals in the world, what would they be? I'm not talking about like, like ethical. I'm just,
I've heard
I,
you ask this, and I was like,
yeah.
man, you got to prepare for it, and I didn't. I can't believe you caught me off. Right, which is the best. That's where you get the most honest answers. I cannot believe I let this happen. Okay.
That's funny.
I remember watching your show and being like, oh, I'm not going to let them get me on that. And I'm very disappointed with myself. I would hybridize. What would I hybridize? I would hybridize. I don't know. I guess man, I don't know. When I was I'll tell you a story. When I was a kid, I thought I would be a marine biologist. That's what I always wanted to be. I've been just absolutely, to this day, I'm just absolutely mystified by the oceans. And I had horrible ear problems as a child, and so I can't go deeper than about 4 or 5 feet of water without just excruciating pain. I had several surgeries. Even flying is brutal for me, and I love flying. Yeah, flying is brutal for me. So I would say it's got to be something in the ocean, and I'm gonna murder the words here. Jessica is gonna lecture me. It's not whatever below species is. Maybe a genus or a family. Maybe a family. Let's go with family. I'm sure they're all in the same family. Octopus
like family,
and
genus, species.
Yeah,
octopus and what?
Octopus and cuttlefish are two of the just animals. So
yeah.
I like the intelligence of octopus, although some people, they get mad at me because I think the food octopus is delicious as well, which is different than the animal, but it's not really. But cuttlefish are really, really neat animals. So maybe it would be, let's say it would be a cuttlefish with I still love the majestic. I told you I used to own an arowana fish, which is like, those of y'all that haven't seen it, it's almost like a fish / eel, and it just does this like, I know the rhyme. I just don't know where these things fall, Jessica. I know about King Philip and his.
Class. I'm gonna see if I remember. Is it like class, order, family, or no, class, order, phylum. Ah, man, geez, it's been a long. Phylum, genus, species. I don't remember. Yeah, see, I'm butchering it right now, but I'm fascinated with that stuff. I wish. Yeah. So kingdom, order, phylum. Yeah, I don't know.
I would go with an arowana meets a cuttlefish. So you get this big, majestic, long, narrow fish that can change colors instantly and is incredibly intelligent. That's what I would do. A cuttlefish and an arowana. That's what I would do. And the South American arowana. I actually like the Amazonian one better than the Asian arowana myself.
Gotcha. All right, so she did just say it. So it's kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species. That's what it is. Yep. Oh yeah. So she just. I was confused there for a second, and then I like had to look at it. I'm like, oh yeah, that is kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species. Yep. Thank you so much.
So Jessica, where in that list are cuttlefish and octopus the same? Do you have to go up to class or phylum, or can you go down to order or family for that? Yeah, Mark.
What's up, Mark? Hello, Mark.
Science teacher. There we go.
Yeah, Mark's the cool science teacher for sure. All right, so Adam, are you ready for pass or gas?
Yeah, I think I'm going to annoy people on this, but let's do it. Maybe I won't.
That is all right. I don't know. We'll see, because
hang on, let me ask you some values. What are the rules? Like, is it something I would like actually buy, or is it just something I did?
Well, I have a feeling you might not buy a lot of these, to be honest.
Yeah, I was kidding.
So I've been trying to switch it up from just doing like the first couple times I did it, it was just ball pythons. Then I
Uh-huh.
like as far as like my branding goes and just like kind of what I want to do with my company and especially like my podcast is like I'm going to expand, kind of like see what's out there in the world for us to experience and to keep or whatever. So all of these animals I did take out from Wharf Market, so they are available for sale. I'm
Oh,
sure
cool.
depending on the laws and things like that. So
Right.
I tried to diversify it a little bit. So we got a little bit of everything.
Okay,
But
sounds good.
we do have ball pythons at first. So I would say maybe the rules is I don't know. Maybe would you keep it? I mean it's really subjective. I guess it's up to you what you would how you perceive it.
All right. Well, as long as I don't have to give just a binary answer, maybe I'll give some qualifiers. Then there we go.
All right. So everybody, this is pass or gas with proper royals. Oh,
There it
that's right.
is.
My bad. That's a picture of us. All right. So I have a TSK Xanthic Killer Fire Pin.
Uh, I'm gonna pass. I'd like to see a little more definition in it.
Okay.
Personally, I only work with VPI, but that aside, I think that I think Azanthics can have much more, like I say, contrast and definition for myself. That's my first impression on that.
Sure. Yep. We could pass that up. And I have an entry red stripe leopard ivory clown het desert ghost 50% het G stripe. That's a mouthful. Possible fire. Oh, I
Uh,
actually have one more picture of it, a little bit more up close.
yeah, I'm all over that one. That is definite gas on that.
Yeah, I thought that was amazing. Obviously, these animals are a little bit more expensive than people can. I mean, I'm sure this is out of everybody's price range, to be honest. So
What was he asking on
we've
that one?
got a super orange. Oh man, dude,
Okay,
I cannot remember. I want to say it was like at least 10K. I have no idea. I should put the prices on there. I want to like evolve this segment and to be able to put in the prices just in case people are curious. And it sucks because the way I'm cropping it, it kind of cuts out a lot of the breeders. So I want to be able to give them credit where credit is due. Obviously, people are producing amazing animals. So, but next up we have a super orange dream calico pastel fire possible yellow belly.
Yeah, I'm all over that one. I would invest in. I like it from its visual aspects. All previous calico content aside, I love. So here's what I really love.
Yeah.
I love the orange, the black, the yellows, and the white, and the great
Yeah.
definition. Usually, when those come in, things turn to mush. So I love that. And then
Yeah.
from a breeder standpoint, I would breed that animal with a lot of recessive females to produce amazing heads. So I'm into it.
And I will say this has calico, and I freaking love it. So
hey, nice.
Yeah,
Victory.
there you go, guys. Super orange dream, red stripe, yellow belly, fire clown.
Yeah, I'm into it. I'm probably not into it for this gas for sure. But I'm probably not into it for what it would cost. But here's what I love about it. I love Orange Dream, and I love Fire in Clown is probably one of my favorite building blocks to start from. I've never seen a Fire Clown that I thought was unacceptable or that didn't get me going. It adds that yellow and it heightens contrast and sort of that darker black outline on the lateral. I love it. I love Fire and Clown. Absolutely.
Yes. I love how it does that like chain linking. I've seen a couple animals that look really similar, so I'm sure they have a lot of the same genetics in there, but I love that chain link sort of effect on the dorsal.
Yeah, those islands in the middle. Yeah.
This is a hurricane leopard spot nose coral glow clown female maker. I do have a close up on this one as well.
Yeah, huge.
And this is back. This one's still under. This is actually for sale, but it's still got the Jacobilka Reptiles logo. So if anybody wants this for like 10, 15,000 or whatever it is, it's there.
Yeah. Incredible. I'm still a believer in banana. I hear everybody dump on it, and I'll tell you, I move more bananas than anything else. I got no problem with banana. And I think, for me, the downside of banana are the spots, and of course the sex link problem. But you could fix that with females to start with, which are out there, and that the spots problem. I find the more genes you have in it, the less spots are prevalent. You can pretty quickly get rid of spots in bananas. One point. I love this animal. Look at so look, when I talk about the evolution of ball pythons that's happening in front of our eyes.
Yeah.
Other than knowing that's a ball python, pattern-wise, from the neck down, there is nothing about that animal that screams ball python other than we know it's a ball python. That is an incredible genetic chain. Incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if I made this, I'd be like, all right, I don't got to make anything else to be happy. Like, I did it. I reached the pinnacle. But at the same time, like, there is still so much more to be done. Like, you can go a completely opposite direction, not even having any of those in there and make something just as amazing, just as unique. And that's what's amazing about all of this.
Yeah, you could add things to tighten it up. You could put Enchi in there, which would brighten some of the oranges and then reduce some of the pattern up. I mean, you could do all kinds of things. You could throw acid in it and shatter that pattern even more, right?
Yeah, somebody better grab it before it's gone. No, it's kidding. I mean, if you got 10, 15, like I said, I think it's minimum 10K. I bet you it's closer to 15, to be honest.
Probably.
Super chocolate clown.
Beautiful. Yeah, definite gas. I'm amazed on the very topic I just mentioned, behind the neck. We could not, it'd be hard to identify that as a ball python without knowing it. The contrast is great. I love deep, dark, rich browns. I think that's great. I myself am into mahogany. I don't have chocolate. I have a breeder buddy that's got some stranger that we might do something with next year. I love that animal.
Okay.
That's a great selection.
All right. And thank you everybody for participating. I see your comments on my tablet. Just because I'm in this, I'm not able to pull them up, but everyone's saying gas. So, I mean, pretty unanimous. Now we're going into, so we got a boa. So IMG blood.
I'm going to say pass with the commentary that it's a cool looking animal, short of its mouth being open and being pissed off.
I had to. Yeah, I mean, yeah, is a little angry right there.
Yeah, I don't know much about boas. I have no idea if that's rare or crazy or I don't know. And I'll say
I'm there with you.
Yeah, people ask me what I love or what I'm aiming for in ball pythons. I'm aiming for color, I'm aiming for contrast, and I'm aiming for pattern.
Yeah.
And all of those things are a little bit jumbled in that animal, short of its color. Now, that's relative to what's possible. So I don't know what's possible in boas. But for me, on the surface, not that exciting. Yeah,
no, I get it. Now, this may be along those same lines. So they call this Red Rum Jungle Aztec IMG VPI. So it's got a mix of stuff in there. I'm not familiar with, all the different boa genetics as, I'm not familiar with them too well either, but
that one's pretty cool. I don't have the gas for it. I don't know. I don't know much about boas. It's more ignorance than dislike. But
there's a
cool. It reminds me of a super gravel is what it reminds me of though. I mean that's pretty cool, man.
Yeah, and I mean with ball pythons, there's just so many genetics and so many different variations that people have done and that we can still do. And I know with some other animals, there's not as big of a range to work with. So it's maybe a little bit harder to get into that stuff. And this is a reticulate python. So we have an orange glow anthrax sun tiger. Like I said, I don't know, what's in here as far as, what it tells me. I don't know how these genes play together, but
we have a rule in our house that no reptiles that we have could eat our dogs or our child. So retics are out for me altogether. That being said, so I am going to put it in the pass category. However, if I go for the color, contrast, and pattern checklist, that thing is pretty cool. That's a great looking retic, man.
For sure. I've been seeing like a lot of really cool retics. You know, I know you're in Florida, so I don't think, yeah, you can't have those, unfortunately. But you know, here's just an example of some things that are out there. This is, what does I say, Rennick Ghosts. And like I said, I mean, I like it. What do you think?
I love it, man.
Does it fit your check boxes?
Yeah, I mean, can you imagine that pattern being available in a ball python? We would go bonkers. Like, that's something we haven't seen in ball pythons. How do we get there? What gene is still out there? Retics aren't that far removed from ball pythons, you know, evolutionary wise. Like, where is it? Is that waiting for us out there? Like, that's cool.
Yeah, right. All right, so we're gonna get into some weird stuff. All right.
Okay.
And like I said, I don't know some of these things. This is a Thai giant cherry head centipede.
No thanks, man. No, I'm out.
No thanks. I bet you're gonna say it on this one too.
No, that's pretty cool. I have two biolactic terrariums. Only one has a frog in it. The other one is completely empty. I just keep it going. Like, that would be pretty cool to have. I mean, I would look at that. That's pretty cool.
Nice, nice. Now we have volcano translucent black-eyed mutant horn frog. So little Pac-Man guy.
Yeah, I'm gonna pass on them. Oh, but he's
sure.
Cool. Mostly, from what I've seen, they mostly like sit in a hole with their heads like popping out of dirt. That's about it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, some of them are cute. This one's kind of like a little bit weird. You know, I mean, I try to find the weird stuff for sure, but yeah, not the most exciting pet for me, to be honest. So yeah, I could pass on this.
I get the irony of a ball python keeper. It doesn't do much.
Okay, that's funny.
But
I mean, this, I don't know. You're not taking out. You're not holding. You're not.
Right.
I don't know. It is what it is. But you did say maybe you're into some dart frogs.
That's a sexy
blue.
Yeah.
Sipilowini. Yeah. See, I'm not gonna try to pronounce that. Pass your gas.
No, definitely gas. I don't know enough about my dart frogs to know what I can add, how I can add them. So I have one frog that lives alone. He's the king of his world. He gets all the fruit flies, and he does well. And I want to keep him doing well. I could do my terrariums are only 18 high by 12 by 12. So I mean, they're not very big. It's not like I could put 5 or 6 in there or have like sort of two decent enough for 2 dominant frogs. So I got a good thing going. I just don't want to mess it up, but I love that frog. That frog's fantastic. Yeah.
I will say this, I don't know much about dart frogs either. But some things I've been hearing lately, or at least, just like one of the last things I heard from somebody was that with dart frogs, I guess it's frowned upon to kind of cross the different lines and species, even though I think it is possible. But I get it. I mean, there's, with a lot of animals, there's purists and, people don't really want to mess those lines up. So
yeah, we can come back around on that topic if you want it on hybridization, because I get it. On the dart frogs, I've always heard it was, and I don't know for sure, I've always heard the species sort of show aggression towards each other rather than.
Oh, okay, sure.
But I have no desire to breed dart frogs. I just like keeping. Clearly I don't have a desire to breed. I only have one, but I just have it as a sort of a showpiece. It's in my dining room.
They're cool looking. I mean, with a lot of dart frogs, like especially like some of them that I'm showing, like they do have great colors, great contrasts, good patterns. But it's maybe not for everybody. So
right, yeah. This one here, I'm gonna say pass, but it's a close one. those arms, those spots on the arms, man. If those were blue stripes, it's like speaking of crossing things. If you could breed this one with the last one, I bet one of the babies I would be all over, kind of thing.
Yeah, for sure. And we do have one last one for these dart frogs. Philo. Yeah, see, I'm not gonna pronounce it, but
I love it. I definitely dig that one, man. He's lacking pattern, which I do love, but his contrast is so vibrant. That's an incredible frog. I definitely I got gas for that one.
yeah. All right, getting into some different stuff now. This is an ivory northern blue tongue skink. I know this was kind of like pricey, but I try to find some different stuff.
Oh, I don't even know what do they go for. I don't even know. I'm
Oh
completely.
man, I think this one actually, I could be wrong. I think it was around like 4 or 5,000 maybe.
Oh, that's an expensive skink. No price.
Yeah.
I've never said that before. Pricing aside, no, they don't excite me. They're neat. I like to see at our local. We have a real. Actually, I'd give a shout out. Local Extreme Exotics. They're fantastic. They have a great selection of skinks, but they're not. I like to see them when I'm here, but that doesn't do anything for me.
No, I'm gonna pull this off real quick. But no, I'm right there with you. Like the blue tongue skinks, like they're really cool. I thought about maybe getting one, but I did work at a reptile shop for a little bit, and I didn't know. Working with them just wasn't super fascinated by them and what they do, and they're some people really love them though. You know what I mean? And we got a Euromastix,
wow,
and ornate. Yeah, this thing's crazy. I haven't seen one like this before though.
Wow, $350 each. That's a cool Euromaster. Honestly, like at that price, yeah, I would have gas. If I had a place for it and I knew what I was doing, I would pursue that. And I know, speaking of shout outs, Jeremy Baud, when I was at his house, he's got a whole room of Euromastics.
Oh, really?
Yeah, oh yeah. His wife, I don't know if those are his or his wife's. They each have different projects, but I mean, Jeremy's probably got 15 different species that he breeds, and Euromastix.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah, he's got damn near a zoo at his house, man. It's fantastic. But that is I'm down with that Euromastix. That's a great looking Euromastix, man.
Yeah, I tried. I definitely tried to find something really cool. Now this next one. Let me just take this off. Is probably one of my favorite animals. I want to get one day. Let's see what you think. We have the Cayman lizard. Now, wow. I'm fascinated by these, but like I said, maybe not everybody's cup of tea.
That one is cool. I will say pass, but
okay.
Mostly it's because I don't know anything about it. But look at the head and the body, the vibrancy of those greens, man. I just caught on that the head goes from kind of yellow into the body of the green. That's a cool animal, man.
Yeah, they're really cool. Yeah, I got to work with a couple of them at the reptile shop when I was there, and we had land, and then we had like water, and they're like snail eaters, so they'll basically they have like super strong jaws, so like they bite onto a snail shell, crack it open, get the snail. Wow. And I will say they have really awesome personalities, and I think they're very curious, at least from what my experience with them. But I will say that getting a bite from one of those was the worst animal bite that I've ever gotten. Just because their jaws are so strong that they're used to cracking open those snail shells in the wild. That's like part of their primary diet. So yeah, I was like reaching in to clean an enclosure one day, and one came out to me, friggin' bit my finger. I didn't, like jerk reaction, like kind of flew a couple, like 4 or 5 feet away from me, and oh man, like it wasn't necessarily bad initially, but my finger for the next like week and a half was just like throbbing. Wow. Oh man, it was not fun.
You have a monitor, so that's saying a lot from a monitor owner.
I'm trying to like tongue feed him, and he's really good with that. He's still a baby, so he's not gonna do any damage. Oh, cool. But this might kind of go along the lines of maybe borderline, like don't want to get bit. Well, definitely don't want to get bit, but smooth front Cayman.
No, pass. Thank you. Remind me after this segment. I'll amend I wouldn't say my dream reptile, but I do have a slight itch for one other reptile. But okay. Yeah, pass Cayman though.
All right, and I think we're actually on to our last one. I've never seen one of these before. Definitely not in person. We have a black sailfin dragon lizard. This crazy thing. I have multiple pictures.
Yeah, they look like dinosaurs, man. They're cool. They're cool.
That thing is insane. I don't know where you would get one, who's breeding them. We got cold-blooded shop. I guess if anybody wants to check them out, these things are just insane.
Yeah.
But this is the last one.
Not all right. So this is one of those, not for me, but that's a cool animal. So I guess gas, like it's kind of like having a pool. I want a neighbor with a pool, but I don't want the pool. I don't want to deal with it. But I want a neighbor.
Sure.
That's like, I want a breeder buddy with that. Like, I want Jeremy Bod to have one of those. That's what I want.
Yeah. No, I get it. I get it for sure. Well, Adam, that was Passer Gas. Thank you so much for playing along and sharing your thoughts and opinions. Like I said, I do this because I like to see what's out there in the world and kind of see what people really like. Because I'm choosing stuff I like, but as we can tell, with every guest, like we're all into a little bit different stuff. Some of us into like we've got our lane, and then when we venture outside of that, it's maybe something we don't really want to dabble in too much. So yeah, awesome. And you did say you were going to go back to. You did have like one on your sort of wish list, or you got your eye on something, or
I don't yet, but I've seen some pictures. I'm not. If I find I could keep, I think they're called crocodile skinks or red eye croc.
Oh, yeah.
They look like little cartoon characters, man. Those are cute little reptiles. I love those things. I know nothing about them, but if I found one could stay in one of my bioactive terrariums, and they weren't, I mean, really, it'd have to be they would have to come to a pretty like pet friendly price, but those are cool. Those to me, they're like, oh my gosh, that is a cool animal. And people are domesticating those. All right, I'm interested. I want to learn, but I've never even looked one up. I don't even know what they cost, man.
Yeah, I can't remember. I know I showed one last week on my show. Now I pull it up. I just don't know if it's going to switch my branding over because I do a different brand sort of thing for each guest. So I'm not sure if I can switch over and show that, but absolutely know what you're talking about. And I would say those are one.
Crocodile skinks.
What's that?
Is that what they are? They're called crocodile skinks.
I believe so. Actually, I think I thought I like almost closed out the live. I think I actually can. Who did I have on last? See, if I mess around with it, it's just going to switch me off. I have a feeling.
The red eye, and then the red eye here, and then just this little head, man. How big do those things get?
Oh man, I have no idea, to be honest.
I don't know. Okay, never mind. I'll look it up. I'll Google on my own one of these days.
And Mark says going to pick up one of my dream species next week, Indian spotted pond turtle. Awesome, man. I'd have to see what it looks like. I'm sure it's amazing. But that's what's cool about this is, with my channel, I want to be able to like showcase, like I said, everything that kind of exists in the world as much as I can. Talk to, breeders who are doing projects outside of ball pythons. Yeah, I love ball pythons. That's my focus. That's how I'm going to be, making money and, moving forward with my business. But when it comes to podcasting, I think it's good to get a perspective from somebody outside of your lane. You know what I mean? Kind of,
always,
see what they're doing and see what they're breeding, kind of learn something new as much as you can every week. And so I think that's what motivates me to keep going, is just knowing that there's so many different things out here, out in the world, and being able to experience them, or at least share that with somebody that maybe has never seen that, you know what I mean? And there's people in the world that, still don't know anything beyond a normal ball python, you know what I mean? But if they see these animals, they're gonna be like, oh man, I didn't even know that existed, or that you could do that. And like I said, it might spark someone's interest to kind of check it out, research, and, maybe get into something that they've never really been around. So
completely agreed.
Yeah.
I've got a good another half hour or so in me, but can I refill my water and maybe just a splash of wine real fast?
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Okay, cool. Do that, and then we'll hit it for another, like, say, half hour or change or so.
Yeah, you got it. You got it. Yeah, everybody, thank you so much again for being here. Great turnout tonight. We got 17 people still watching, so absolutely appreciate you. If you guys do have questions that you want to pass on to Adam, feel free to leave them in the comments. I'll definitely try to get to those. We're kind of winding down on some of our topics, but I know I got to have Adam on again, because I definitely did skip over a lot of stuff. So there's plenty to talk about. Wow, my voice just cracked. There's plenty to talk about. And yeah, I really love doing this show. And everybody, if you guys are here and you guys have like content, Instagram, YouTube, leave your link. I think everybody is blue. Actually, looks like I gotta make somebody else blue. But make sure you guys follow everybody. That's what this is about. That's what my channel is about, is uniting everybody. Doing whatever I can to bring people together. And like I said, I'm trying to venture out into other things. So maybe in the future, I'll have some aquarium people on. I would love to have, like fish people on, bearded dragon people, retic people, just whatever I can. There's so much to learn about in our world. So yeah, thank you guys, everybody, for coming out. But you are back, Adam. Welcome back.
Thank you, man.
Let's see. All right, so let me see what I didn't get to yet, because I might have to skip over some things, but that's all right. I did have one question, a couple of different questions I wanted to ask you, just kind of like pick your brain, like more icebreaker sorts of stuff, outside of ball pythons and reptiles. And I did ask this to Bosa Balls last week, but I thought it's an interesting question, at least for me to understand. But if I give you $2,000 for a weekend, but I come with you, what are we doing? We're gonna spend $2,000 over a weekend, and then on top of that, where are we gonna go eat, and where are you gonna order? So yeah, what are we gonna do this weekend if I come visit? We got $2,000 to just spend.
All right, so this is a great question, man. I love this idea. So here's the thing. I know you a little bit, so this can't be a selfish trip. Like, it's got to be a trip that we both enjoy. Like, if I didn't know you at all, I would just be like, well, we're going to hit LA or we're going to hit New York, and I'm just going to show you what I'm into. But I know you a little bit, and we spent a little bit of time, but I don't know you that well. So actually, I don't know.
Okay. All right.
I don't know. I know that you'll definitely drink a beer. I know you're definitely a cool dude to hang out with. So like, we could even do a cool road trip or something. But I think, it'd be cool actually. So for $2,000, I could fly to Colorado, and then you and I could rendezvous. And you know what? Just on a whim, I think Seattle's a cool city. I haven't been there in a while, and I think we could find good places to drink, good places to eat, and we'd have to take in a cool concert. There's a really cool club scene, like live music club scene in Seattle as well. So let's just say we're heading to Seattle with $2,000, and we won't have much money by the time we get there, because the flight, they're going to get eaten up pretty quick. But, we'd have $800 or $900 for 2 days, and we could do pretty well on that, I think. So, and the food, we would definitely have to focus in on some of that Asia Pacific influence that's so good.
Ooh,
and,
yes, sir.
The Northern Pacific, seafood, so the sushi, the salmon, there are species of oysters that you just can't get in my world.
Oh.
In the Pacific Northwest, that are amazing, phenomenal oysters. So that'd be up my alley. We'd go really high end on the local seafood sushi houses, and then we'd get gritty and find a maybe go see some kind of punk grungy band in a dive bar and drink cheap beer afterwards.
I'm down. I'm definitely down. If we ever get that opportunity, I know what we're doing.
Let's do it, man. Hey, we're only like, a couple dreamsicle sales away from anybody doing this, right?
There you go. All right. Second question. If I give you $10,000, but you got to take your wife on a vacation. Where are you going and what are you doing?
Well, we'll take I don't know, we'll take a road trip or we'll do a hybrid road flight trip. We'll fly to a region and then road trip it. I grew up in Maine and I haven't been back to Maine in 23 years. I haven't been to Maine since 2020.
Oh.
So this summer, like people always ask me what motivates me. How do you do these, how do you do all this different stuff, Adam? I just look at the dream I'm trying to accomplish. I need $5,000 to take my family to Maine this summer. I'm going to Maine. Okay. I don't care. We're going to fly into, actually, it's really funny. Warfels is in the audience, and this is all completely true. Jeremy Warfels does a little cookout, not little, big breeder get-together cookout festival at his house each year. And he's like, Adam, will you come play it? And I was like, when is it? And he says, July 1st. I said, okay. What he doesn't know is that I'm planning the family vacation around that date in Pennsylvania. So I think is actually the last week of June. I'm going to take my family to New England. I'm going to have them fly into Providence, Rhode Island. I'm going to drive to Providence, Rhode Island, pick them up. So I have my own car. We don't have to rent a car. We'll do New England for 10 days or 2 weeks. I'll put them back on a plane. And then I'm going to hit Warfels. We'll play the gig there and hang out and be snake nerds. And then I'll drive home. And I Googled it. I'm only 12 hours from Lancaster, Pennsylvania, which is where he's at. So, I mean, I could drive 12 hours. But you asked what I would do with $10,000. So that's half of what I would do. Instead of putting them back on a plane home from Providence, Rhode Island, I would then we would all fly to Minnesota, which is where she's from. And Minnesota in the summertime is fantastic. You got the rural lakes, which are phenomenal, and then the city of Minneapolis, the downtown, is gorgeous in the summertime. It's unreal. I mean, the food, the vibes, the music, hell, the days are long. It's daylight till like 9:30, 9:45 because it's so far north, man. It's just gorgeous in the summertime. So that's what I would do with the other $5,000, and then we'd all rendezvous back in Jacksonville one way or another. I don't know how the Toyota Tacoma gets.
Oh man. Well, I wish I had $10,000 to give you because that sounds amazing. All right. So last question. You
would fly up to Minnesota and hang out for the weekend in Minneapolis with us, man.
Oh, I'd definitely be down. Yeah. I'd be down. And I have family in the Midwest, upper Midwest. So yeah, that would work.
Well, really? Okay.
Yeah. Well, I got my parents in Iowa. I got my mom's side of the family in like Chicago, Illinois. I mean, it wouldn't be too far out of my way. Definitely make the trip for sure.
Yeah. Oh, we didn't even think about where we would go with Chicago. Oh, we could do Chicago for $2,000 on a weekend too. Oh man.
Yeah, for sure.
All right.
Yeah. All right. Last question, sort of like around these theoretical situations is if I gave you $1 million, but you can't spend it on yourself, how are you going to use that money? How are you gonna? How are you gonna? You can't spend it on yourself. Spend it on anybody else, anything else.
This opinion will probably change if and when the day comes that I have $1 million or many millions. I don't feel like I need that much to live.
Yeah,
comfortably and happily on. I'm a pretty big believer in, and at a certain point, money makes things better. I get it. I have been dead ass broke. I have pawned guitars to be able to buy a suit, to have an interview, to hope to get a job, and have prayed that they don't ask me to come back for a third interview because I'm out of guitars. Like I swear to God, I've been that broke. That is a true story.
Sure. So,
but the idea of some, infinite amount of money, I would try and responsibly find a way to take care of my son. I only have one child, so I look for him, but I wouldn't want him to be just like, hey, you never have to work or care or earn anything. I think that's a curse, so I wouldn't do that. I would put some to him. If I thought and I'm not saying it doesn't. I would have to be convinced. I'd have to find the right charity. But if I thought it could make a dent or a change in specifically cancer research, I would do it. I think cancer research is this way. I think it's a matter of time. We're going to figure this thing out, and it won't be a magic cure all. It'll be a little bit by little bit by little bit. They're going to figure it out. So. And I don't know, maybe that's part of my story or not, or other people do. And when you brought it up earlier with things that kind of formulated my life, I lost my mother to ovarian cancer. She was 59. I was 30 at the time, and not to I don't mean it literally in a religious sense, but some of the most angelic people on this planet are hospice caregivers. And so I would give the majority of that money to some hospice organization. And then, to be honest with you, I'd find 5 hospice caregivers that I could just be like, boom, here's 20 grand, go have fun. Like, just here's, I mean, it literally, like right now, it damn near brings me to tears. So that, I guess that's what I would do. That's what comes to mind at the moment. I guess if the day comes that I ever truly have that money, we'll revisit it. But that sort of thing is there you go.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that answer. And I came up with that question last week because I feel like if, let's say, somebody does win the lottery or something, what I mean? It's like, but you can't spend that money on yourself. It kind of shows like where your heart is, what I mean? Where you're not being selfish with it, but you're actually, putting it somewhere, or giving it to someone that might really, really need it, what I mean? And, or someone that really deserves it. And so, it's interesting to get that perspective, because there's a lot of things that people care about, whether it's like cancer research or,
right.
Honestly, I think that's what Bosa said last week too. And like, that hits a lot of people, really directly, because it is something that we're trying to work on. It is something that we want to find a cure for. I never had like without getting into my life, too much, like I never had like grandparents in that sense. Like I said, their parents all died when they were really young, but I had a great grandma that survived. And she died of cancer. And, so that's like, see, now I'm going to start thinking about it too much, but she's like the only person that I knew outside of my parents. So, I think she made it to like 79 to 80 or something like that. And, like it's really, it's something that people deal with every single day. That people are continuing to experience that loss in their life. And, some people get cancer really young or as children. And, it's just, I know I probably shouldn't say the name, but there's somebody that's in our community that, his son is battling, terminal cancer. And it's really hard to see someone with such a good heart, have to experience that and have to experience that with their son. And, it's like you want to be able to help, but it's like we really can't. Sometimes we feel like we're just sitting on the sidelines watching and watching, as people experience all this pain. And I unfortunately $1 million isn't gonna really fix that. It might give someone a better quality of life, but it's
and that's what I wanted to clarify. It's not that I don't think donations make a difference.
Yeah,
I absolutely think they do. And I give a lot to cancer charity and research, relatively, not $1 million, but if I had $1 million and I knew I can make a difference in several individuals' lives.
Yeah, for sure.
I would feel, because I think that the mass support for cancer research and how many people it's touched, I think the massive quantity is much more important than any one single donor, whereas one single donation to a single person could be so influential. So in that way, I don't know how I quantify that as better, but for me that and that's even, like I say, as a child who lost his mother to cancer. So But yeah, I do want to clarify. It's not that I don't think donations to cancer charities make a difference. They absolutely do. I think there's a wellspring of that. That nameless individual who's devoting their life to hospice care, and I know they don't make a lot of money.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That I could like change their life. Oh,
yeah,
God, that would be incredible, man. That would be an unbelievable opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think we're going to kind of wrap it up. With that, I got a couple more questions for you, Adam.
Okay.
And then I think I'll definitely have to have you on, sometime in the future, because I honestly didn't even get to half the things I wanted to, because I think you're just so fascinating to talk to. So like I said, I really appreciate you being on the show. Real quick, where can we find you? What are you doing? How can people get connected with you or plugged in?
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity to share that. So for sure, YouTube, I work the hardest at YouTube, and then Instagram after that. They're both doing really well these days. I love. I've kind of got the knack. I feel like I want to get to that next level, of course, always. But YouTube, Instagram, Facebook locally. Anywhere proper, I'm the only proper Royals. That's it. There's no other proper Royals. So anywhere you could Google that. I am on TikTok. I'm not very active on there. And then if you're just interested in me personally or some of my endeavors outside of reptiles, you can always look me up on Facebook. It's on there. Adam Shirah, Shirah is me. I'm one of 3 Adam Shirahs that I know of, but the only one in Jacksonville.
No way.
So there you go. And coming soon, I am going to start a Patreon soon. So that will be, and when I say soon, probably the upper tier will be imminent, a couple days, and then a lower and middle tier very, 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 very soon. Week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks on those, somewhere in there. I'm still finalizing on those.
Nice. And is there anybody you want to shout out? Anybody, everybody, you know what I mean?
Honestly, the community is incredibly special to me. I don't necessarily think I can provide any different ball pythons or more amazing ball pythons than anybody else can. I'm just enamored with this community. I think that there's a few, exceptions that stick out. But by and large, this has been incredibly, incredibly special to me. And I couldn't name just a couple people.
Yeah, I understand that.
You know what I mean? The people that have supported the show, people like yourself, and literally like yourself, John. Because I do remember you following me. I do remember you and I talking like on a message on some, I don't know what it was on, because I don't even think I was on Instagram then. Of you trying to explain to me what Inquiline means and what your vision for your
man,
and me going, I don't really get it, but go do it, dude. And son of a bitch, here you are, man. Like, it's fantastic. and then like so I'm visiting an old friend in Denver, and I'm like, John's like, hey, I'm free. And I think you drove like 2 hours that day to hang out and have beers, man. And we went to like this. Is it great? That German Broadhouse is something, right? There's 2 stories.
Yeah, it's some beer house or I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. So, man, we were just eating just authentic brats. You saw the steins we were drinking from. Like, that's happened innumerable times with other people. I've been to Jeremy's house. I've been to Steve Casino's house. I've been. Garrick DeMeyer's been on my show. Just all these people. Stephen and Courtney have been amazing to me. Kai and Lucas Landon, Warfels. I mean, it just goes on and on. I love it. I have my old calendar. My last year's calendar is there. I did 100, not 100. I did 52 weeks of shows last year with 52 different guests, and I'm coming up on my 100th show. Maybe I passed it. I don't know. I don't keep track very well, but like, I just love looking at all the names of, like, it takes trust that I'm not going to be one of these people that flips out or says something that I shouldn't or whatever, and All of these people have helped me out. So I really adore all of that. I think there's plenty of space for a lot of people to be successful in this industry, and so I'm thankful for that. Look, if I gotta tomorrow night on my own show, Powerline Reptiles are on, Samantha and Phillips. So there, I give them a shout out. They'll be on the show tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern.
Absolutely.
On my channel, and again, just Proper Royals anywhere you find it, but it'll be on YouTube tomorrow night.
Awesome. And lastly, is there any piece of advice or any sort of positivity that you would like to leave with anybody watching this show today?
Be yourself. Hopefully in life you're comfortable with it, because it's hard not to be yourself. It's hard to pretend your way through life. And I know I get it more than most people realize. As hard as it is to be yourself, it's harder to pretend not to be yourself. I was never the cool kid. I was never the hip, I'm not gonna, get into a bunch of downer experiences, but I've been through my share of that stuff. Being your honest self is the easiest way to get through life. But in the world, so the other thing is, I think social media has the largest reach that we've ever had in the history of existence. I was going to say humankind, but no other animals reach it farther than social media is. And what you have to remember is social media only exists when like-minded people connect. That is the business model for YouTube, for Facebook, for Instagram. Oh, you're into ball pythons, you're into ball, boom, you two got to talk. So the faster you can be yourself in the world of social media, the farther your happiness reach is going to be, and the more successful you're going to be. The ball pythons are just the vehicle for that. And it turns out I can make some money and raise some amazing animals like I showed earlier. So be yourself. Don't be afraid to jump in. Just start. Do what John did. Start your show. So you got a cell phone that you turn sideways and you click record. Hit it. Do it. This is it, man. This is it happening right here. That's what I got to say.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thank you so much. Now, I know we didn't really get into this topic at all, but I just want to tell everybody, make sure you guys go support USARK Florida. Is there anything you want to say about that, Adam?
I swear, and I didn't have this planned. Oh, you gotta have USARK.
Yeah.
On a that was the only way that was even slightly planned is John asked me in the green room. He said, "Hey, do you have any issues with USARK?" I was like, "Hell no, I don't have US. Look at it. This is what I'm wearing." Look, guys, USARK is vitally important. I'm here in Florida. Florida is one of the few states where a lot of the animals that we breed and raise are viable in the wild outside of our care, which has produced some very legitimate concerns. I mean, the Burmese pythons in the Everglades are a legitimate concern. I cannot say that they're not. What I can say is that responsible pet owners, responsible breeders should be allowed to own their animals responsibly. And that's what USARK is fighting for. They're a completely charity-driven organization. To fight lawmakers and politics, you have to have the very best lawyers. The very best lawyers are not free. They are expensive. I happen to know, and I on my son and on my family, on anything, I happen to know one of the board members of USARK Florida, and I can tell you the passion and the fight that this guy's dedicated 50 years, maybe 60, 50. I mean, he's that old and he's been at this that long. 50 years of his life protecting the rights of people in our generation or even younger than my generation to keep their animals. And there is a healthy balance that can be struck. This can be regulated. It can be allowed. It doesn't have to be a binary yes or no. John, you're in Colorado. You guys were at the forefront of legalizing marijuana. I don't use, that's not my thing. However, I think it's an amazing model to follow. It can be regulated. It can be done safely. And we've shown it is not the devil that people think it is. Neither are reptiles in your neighbor's garage, which is exactly who I am. If you have, I think the entry level membership is $25 to support USARK. There's many businesses that'll let you round up or just add $1 to your purchase to throw into USARK. All that makes a huge difference. A lot of the big reptile shows have a USARK auction where breeders donate cool stuff, and you can get screaming deals on animals. Go to those auctions. That's all I could say. I mean, they're our lobby. Whenever you go, oh, how come big so-and-so has people fighting for them in Washington? USARK is our big so-and-so fighting for us. That's what I believe. There you go.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Thank you so much, Adam. And you even donated a guitar to USARK in that auction, got a sign and everything. Is that correct?
No, let me clarify. It's partially correct.
Okay.
Jeremy Bod donated that guitar. Jeremy Bod compensated me for that guitar. That's how good that dude. I get chills talking about it. I made
wow.
Jeremy Bod donated that guitar. He compensated me for it. So I was lucky to be Jeremy Bod.
That's awesome.
Guitar away. I have to. I mean, the record is close, and I'm glad to be associated with it. Jeremy Bod gave that away.
That's awesome. And concerning that guitar, I think a bunch of big league breeders ended up autographing and signing that thing, right?
Yeah. So if we got time and nobody knows the story, so I had this guitar, and Jeremy Bod, out of the blue, he calls me. That's Bod's Exotic Reptiles. Check him out. Calls me out of the blue, and he goes, "Hey, you have a guitar for sale?" And I was like, "I didn't know you played guitar." He goes, "I didn't. I don't." He goes, last year, this was now a year ago. So he goes, last year, my USARK auction item at Daytona, it raised like $27,000. He's a very high-end finish carpenter, cabinetry expert.
Oh wow!
And he had it was called a mystery box, and a bunch of breeders stuffed a bunch of money in it, but you couldn't get the money out, so you had to smash it. It was going to be destroyed, and the people were bidding to raise money to buy this thing to destroy it to see how much money was in it, kind of deal. And it was it wasn't truly worth anything other than his time in the moment, but anyhow, in the history of USARK auctions, I think he's raised the highest amount from a single item. And he calls me and he goes, "Hey, I want to outdo that from last year." He goes, "I think guitars are badass, and I think it would be cool." Because I used to build them. I haven't lately, but that was a guitar that I built, sort of hot rodded style. And he said, basically, what would you take for that guitar for this purpose? And it wasn't money that we exchanged, but he did compensate me. And he said, "Hey, will you tell the story of this guitar on a video? Will you tell the story of the guitar at the USARK auction?" And he says, "What I'm going to do is I'm going to ship that guitar and the pick guard and the neck. We disassembled it, and he shipped it all over the country to breeders that I'm not even 100% familiar with, but Barczyk's signatures on there. Definitely Tom Crutchfield, Eugene Bissett. The Bells are on there. What's his? Just Ty Park is on there. Just the who's who, just covered in it. I mean, he nailed it. He crushed the they're on it, and reassembled it the day of Daytona. I'm at his booth where he's doing the setup, reassembling, rebuilding this guitar at his booth, and then we auctioned it that night. And it didn't go for as much as we'd hoped, but it was over $4,000 that it auctioned for, and that's what Jeremy Bod did. And Chris Eaton signed, but Chris Eaton made a Snakes and the Fat Man. He made a promo video for it. Gave me a shout out in it. It was a really cool experience. So Jeremy gets all the credit on that guitar. Yeah.
No, that's awesome. Well, Adam, I just want to say thank you so much for your time. If you could just stick around for 2 minutes after the show. But everybody, I just want to say a huge thank you for coming out. Once again, make sure you go check out Proper Royals, all of his social media, amazing stuff. And then next week we have Leviathan Snakes. Steven and Courtney are going to be on the show. I would show a flyer right now. I'm actually in the middle of making it. So I do apologize, Steven and Courtney, for not having that ready. But that's all right. So everybody, I'm going to play the intro, outro, And make sure you comment, like, and subscribe to this channel. Thank you so much, everyone.
This channel is all about my family's journey from ball python hobbyist to ball python business. I think that we, on a macro scope, look in the same direction, and then on micro things, it's like, yeah, I'm in a different situation. And you're like, you don't have to be, you can choose to be. And I'm like, no, I'm happy where I'm at. What's the scale of what you're working on? You told me a number earlier that blew my mind. We'll talk about that in a minute, about what you fed today. Let's be honest, there are way crazier people out there than you and I, and they got big flock. Like, they found their own tribe and they found their own flocks. If I had the presence you guys did, I wouldn't be doing anything else. I'd be done. Sign it, check it, clock out for the last time ever, last paycheck, sayonara for me, man. I could put some context in the video, you know, instead of playing like doom death metal, watch this.